Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into the Premier Endurance League for the GT3 Limited Series for Round 5 at a mobility resort Motegi here this evening. It is typical Japanese weather. It's cold, it's wet, and I hope you brought your flippers with you because we are going to be swimming around the twin ring Motegi here this evening. Hamish Runner here with you alongside Brett Fisher Peter Baxter once again. Brett Fisher, I am in autopilot mode right now, Pete, but Hamish Runner here with you, Pete Baxter. Scott Rankin will be joining us very shortly as well. It's a big night of racing here for PEL. Motegi is it's a big test of a circuit. It's not easy. It's a tough track to go racing on, and I think it's one that will test these drivers tonight, Pete.
Absolutely. Hey, and welcome, Hamish. I'm glad to be commentating with you again. We don't get this opportunity very often, and the last time we chatted, you were commentating one of my races with Brett Fisher, so I can understand how that all gets mixed up in the head of somebody who commentates a lot. So that's fair.
A lot of commentating this weekend.
Yes.
Two on Friday, 2 in a row yesterday. I've had a lazy day today. The brain is just in autopilot mode at the moment. So
yep, but that's cool. But love to be here. Now, the thing that I want to hear from people is, I think Motegi is an absolutely fantastic racetrack. I reckon it's one of the best we've got on the sim. For me, it's rated in my top 5 of racetracks. You know why? It's got some long straights. It's got some corners that have 2 or 3 racing lines through it. You know, it's got multiple long straights. Then it's got some S-bends and some tight ones. But if you get them right compared to your competitor, you set up some overtaking moves. I love it. I love Motegi for that. Now, I know a lot of people I talk to, Hamish, they don't like Motegi. They think it's a horrible track to drive on. I don't know why, and nobody's told me why. I'm putting out why I like it. It's a nice big wide track with lots of opportunity for drivers, and it's got a bit of everything. But if you don't like it, tell me why. You know, change my mind. But
I think it's one of those great old style circuits, isn't it? It's the old style of racing circuit before it became all glitz and glam and getting massive track upgrades. It still has that old style circuit feel to it. We've got plenty of action to come our way this evening, of course. 2-hour race around here. We're towards the end of qualifying at the moment. We've got an extended warm-up session to come. As earlier in the week, we unfortunately lost a member of the Premier Endurance League community in Dave Roberts, where we'll be having a memorial lap of silence in his honour. And, you know, we wanted to give all of our condolences to Dave's family and everyone who are good friends with Dave as well, or who may have raced with him and felt close to him too. So we'll be honouring him in that way, and then we'll be getting into the 2-hour racing portion as well. Mr. Rankin, you've joined us just slightly late, but it's okay. We'll give you a pass. You had a long day over with Zach Caban in the V8 Pro Series. Twin Ring Motegi, how do you find it? What's your thoughts? And are you excited for tonight's race with a bit of rain on offer for us?
But more importantly than that, I really want to take this opportunity. I'm not quite into the server yet, boys. I've just had the opportunity to finally go away and grab dinner because we're doing a debrief and a few other bits and pieces. I believe this is the memorial lap we're on board at the moment.
We're going to be going on board very shortly. We're just ending qualifying. Right. Warm-up will then be happening, and then we'll be getting into it. So
my apologies for jumping in late. So, like I said, I really apologize. It's been a very, very long day for me, and it's just nice to finally be here. I've actually been, surprisingly, even with Bathurst and everything that's been going on, I've actually been really, really keen to get into this one. For those of you who don't know, I actually convinced the series to let a guy by the name of Tom Wilkinson come and drive. And for those of you who don't know Tom Wilkinson, the guy rarely ever gets to drive and gets to have a race. So this is his opportunity to get out there and be amongst it here tonight. And I made him choose the Porsche because we've done the Porsche doing Porsche. I made him choose the Chevy because we've made a thing of Porsche doing Porsche things. And I've always said, well, the Chevy's really, really hard to drive. So I gave him 2 options. I said, you can either drive the Lamborghini or you can drive the Corvette. He jumped on board the Corvette and he said, I'm really, really keen. I've done a lot of work. I've got this set up right in a really nice window. And then he looked at the weather forecast for the evening, and it's wet. And he went, I'm in the wrong car. No. So Tom Wilkinson is a Brit. He's English background, but he lives in Australia.
Yeah. So the warm-up session has just begun. So how this is going to work, for those that are just joining us. So Rue Koistra is going to line up at the end of pit lane. Every driver is then going to line up behind Rue, as Rue is a close friend with Dave. They're going to follow Rue around for a lap. They're then going to come into pit lane, and then the warm-up session will begin proper. So we're going to take this time to give our condolences proper to Dave's family and his friends. Give thanks to him for being a part of this PEL community and the iRacing community as a whole as well. So please join us in a moment's silence across this lap in memoriam of Dave Roberts.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this opportunity to say a thank you to Dave Roberts and his family and his friends. For those of you who never had the opportunity to interact with Dave, he's driven a couple times in this series. He helps Rue, and he's actually a really, really big part of the Australian open wheel racing community. He's been a major part of the Formula Racing Group, FRG, that you see on the side of Rue Koistra's McLaren right here. He's been a friend to Lachlan Capel, and he's been a friend to myself. I've had the opportunity to commentate alongside of Dave on a number of occasions. For those of you who don't know, he's had the opportunity to participate in racing right around the world, including as a part of the Formula Ford Festival in Brands Hatch. Dave brought unique insight to the commentary box. He was able to set up a Formula Ford car in a capacity that gave us fixed series racing, and he's just very, very well respected by all of his colleagues. For everyone who ever interacted with Dave, he was a funny man with a moment for absolutely everybody. his advice and things that he's taught me about the Formula Ford and the opportunities I've had to work as a part of the Formula Racing group, I'll never be able to say thank you enough to. So for everyone who's ever interacted with Dave, to his family, and to the sim racing sphere, we say we've lost a member of our own. Thank you to everyone for taking part in a minute's silence, for taking this quiet lap and showing a mark of respect to somebody who is going to be extremely sorely missed. Dave, to you, mate, keep on turning laps up there in heaven, and you better damn well tell me that you got the purple sector time, brother. Thank you very much for everything you've taught to me as a friend and as a human. I'll miss you. All right, with that out of the way and tears in my eyes, I'll get an opportunity to take a little bit of a break and reset for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we go racing, and we go racing from Mobility Resort Motegi. And I believe this is the first time that this series has actually gone to the entirety of the layout here in GT3 machinery. And I think the big thing tonight is cold, wet tyres are going to be a challenge to get up to temperature, and it is going to be a challenge here. Pete, in terms of fuel capacity, does that wet weather actually extend the fuel sin, and does that get us in range to do a two-stop race here?
Absolutely. The way I look at it, Scotty, is we're looking at the weather right now on the broadcast here, and it's saying overcast, but to be honest, mate, I'm looking at the radar. There's rain coming. So let's be honest, this track's going to be a wet track. It's going to be wet tyres tonight. That is going to extend the fuel. What we've got right now is I'm calculating right now 40 minutes as a fuel window, which is spot on a perfect two-stop race if it is wet the whole time. So here's the caveat, right? So if it dries up and the guys come out and they're on slicks, they're going to go faster. They're going to burn more fuel. They're going to put themselves into a splash and dash window. So essentially, she's a two-stop wet race, potentially a three-stop wet race if we get enough dry weather. But as we can see on the track right now, lots of puddles, mild rain coming down, fairly light rain as we can see it. I think nearly everybody, what I'm seeing is even in the warm-ups, probably about 5 cars on dry tyres, 5 or 6. Everybody else is on wet, so they all don't know what to do. And having chatted to nearly everybody in the grid so far, the name of the game tonight is survival, and that is from the guys in the top 10 through to the guys at the back end. Name of the game is survival, and let's just see what happens.
Righto, 2 hours worth of racing is going to kick ourselves off here in about, 105 seconds or so on the timer here tonight. And we've already had qualifying run and done. And I think the big thing from qualifying is we're actually seeing the biggest part about the wet conditions here tonight, Hamish, is that we've actually got a real mix in terms of manufacturers there. This has really scattered the field.
I mean, the field seems completely scattered by manufacturers. There's still a little bit of Mustang favoritism for at least a third of the field tonight, but we have got a really good spread of cars, of course. Mustangs, BMWs, Astons, Mercs, McLarens, Porsches, Lamborghinis, even a Ferrari out there as well, and the Corvettes too. So there's a good mixture of cars across the whole field. And what I think is the wet weather is going to obviously play a part. The last few rounds we've had, it has been quite chaotic. We haven't had much rain interruption across the limited series over the past few weeks. So I think tonight here at Motegi, it's going to be a big factor of, well, the rain could have a part to play, drivers' mistakes could have a part to play. We've already seen that play out this season as well. And then I think it's going to come down to, well, who can keep themselves clean in these variable conditions? It's played out a lot differently across a whole heap of other different car types in previous memory. But I think tonight, Motegi, you add a bit of rain to it, you add a bit of spice, it is really, really challenging. It's not an easy track. So I think, if I'm going to pull favoritism on cars that may be able to do well tonight, Scott, I'm going to say I think there has to be a little bit of favoritism towards those front-engine cars because they're going to be able to suit the wet weather just that little bit better than the mid or rear-engine entries out there.
Warm-up is now complete. We are about to go into the grid. And reminder, the calendar for Motegi, this sets us up for the final 4 weeks of the season. The limited series runs now. It'll have 2 weekends off, and then we'll have our finale in 3 weeks' time from Fuji Speedway. That is all that's left from the championship. In terms of your championship standings as well, I think this is quite critical. to the way that we go racing here tonight from the limited series. It's actually going to be
at the moment for the championship. Just quickly, Scotty. So obviously we know that Gretsch is leading by a good fair way in the challenger class, and Curtis is currently the championship leader for the elites too. Curtis has got good teammates behind him though, in Allen and Coates sitting just close behind him. But John Trott's been a revelation over the last few weeks. Ben Brook and Kurt Chapman, they're the other ones to watch in the challenger class as well.
Here we go. Time for the grid. There are going to be about 35 or so cars here tonight. Trent Allen has managed to steal the pole position on board his Ford Mustang. Isaac Curtis makes it a Mustang front row, both for AITT Revolution iRacing, by the way. The first of our challenger cars is actually on the second row. Matthew Bakir qualifying away out of position. Phenomenal speed from him. Will Buchanan, can he keep that BMW underneath him here tonight? Jacob Hughes is going to be off of row number 3. He's been doing a fair bit of practice on board of car number 96. And in fact, he's actually on board the first of the Porsches. Kurt Chapman will line up alongside of him, the second in the challenger class. James Mason from Bradco. It's important to talk about that championship contention for Brad as he rounds out the back of row number 4. Richard Mayer, the first of the Chevys, off of row number 5. John Akins will start alongside of him. Tom Wilkinson, I know this is the guy I was mentioning, we'll have to keep close eye on in his Chevy. 1.5 seconds off the pace, by the way. That's how tricky the conditions have been. Luke Capozza will be off alongside of him. That is the front 6 rows for that one. In behind these guys, we go back to 13th spot. Ronald Long, another of the Challenger class guys. They're doing a really, really good job here tonight. Challenger class leader Adrian Gretsch will start off alongside of him. 2 Mercedes on row number 7. John Trott and Dean Reddit will line up on row number 8. John Trott will be looking to try and grab some points back in pro class. Trent Stapleton from Patrick Redden, Trent Naylor and Brent Tucker are going to round out the top 20. Matt Webber, Greg Heaney, Rue Koistra, Mark Foster from the back end of the field. Martin Hallinan, Ed Adcock. As we're getting our way through, Glenn Jones, Dale Atkins, Chris Ruddle, PJ Whiteman. There's a few more in there, but it's under the short pacing lap here from Motegi. And the run down to turn number 1. Trent Allen will lead us away. Curtis will slot back in. The spray's not all that bad at the moment, boys. And do you know what? The rain's actually not coming down. We're in one of those holes between the wet and the dry at the moment. So the tyres will start to warm up. There's contact at the front end of the field. I think it's Hughes who's gone around. It was the car that was alongside of him that's gotten out of there as well. And I really think Tom Wilkinson's cut his way. The Australian living Brit up in the inside of that one. I think he's actually running about 5th spot. Jacob Hughes has been hit, so he's going to call into race control and at least have a chat about that one. He's gone to the rear end of the field at this point in time. Lots of puddles out there and on the track as we run down towards turn number 5 for the first time tonight.
Lots high intensity early here, Scott. That was Kurt Chapman who got involved in the contact there with Jacob Hughes. So both those guys have been involved in that early in this race. Now, there's quite a differential across the field in tyre compound choices. Some drivers are on the dries, others are on the wets. It was a similar scenario in qualifying. As a round goes, Matthew Bakir, the race leader and pole sitter of the Challenger class, is now dropping down the order incredibly quickly as we head up towards the old start-finish straight. But it's Isaac Curtis in well control at the moment. But Tom Wilkinson is looking incredibly quick right now in these more so greasy conditions here, Scotty. He's able to hang with those ARTT entries. He's just trying to cover off there from Will Buchanan.
He's going to get through.
Incredible he made to the race lead. Surely not. He's through. Tom Wilkinson on the wet tyres has had the grip on the, what would be the last corner on the east circuit here at Motegi. And now he's under pressure here from Curtis. But the important thing is, Scott, we know that's that second band coming of rain. When that comes, we've got to watch for the dry tyre runners to come into pit lane and swap over to the wet. So it could be an early loss, but could help them out later in the race by getting an early pit stop of fuel in.
Yeah, whether or not there is a crossover back to the wet tyres, whether or not is it... But look at the puddles. The dry tyre guys, they're just falling. Wilkinson's on a masterclass. Yeah. You know who else is on the wet tyres? Is Adrian Gretsch. All the guys that are on dries at this point in time, the biggest issue they'll have is bringing them up to temperature. They will have no temperature. If that dry groove starts to improve, they will get temperature and then they'll be away. But for the meantime, Wilkinson through and clear by 2 seconds. Curtis is in P2 in the Mustang. Here come the wet runners. Richard Mayer's also on his way back through the field as well. Stapleton, 4th, 5th and 6th are all on wet tyres. Keep your eyes on them. There's actually, you know what? Have a look at the field. There's only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 guys on dry tyres. The rest of them are on wets. Look at the puddles, though. If any of those guys on a slick touch a puddle, the car's gone.
It is, and we can see though some of those puddles are unavoidable at the moment. Now the best thing, as we know, those dry tyre runners can do is just avoid the puddles at all costs, but that is going to be struggle street for some of them as we ride with Richard Mayer in P5 on the outside line now of Adrian Gretsch. So it's wet tyre runner versus wet tyre runner, but how long can the ATT cars hang on the dries at the front of the field? It is intense stuff right now as the rain has been coming down, but can a dry line start to form before we get the sprinkling of rain back again in a few laps' time?
Well, how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take? Wilkinson! Remember, the rest of these guys are struggling to get through on the dry tyre, guys. Richard Mayer's going to get to the outside of Isaac Curtis. Curtis is going to try and pull the car up. He can't do it. Now it's going to be Stapleton to the inside. Again, wet tyres versus wet tyres. Mayer and Stapleton. That's the Mustang and the Chevy that you can see. They're both on the wets. The car ahead of them, Isaac Curtis, is starting to build a little bit of temperature in the dry tyre. There's so much spray still coming from the rear. Look at the braking performance in a straight line of all the guys on the wets. They're trying to get there. Can they pull the car up? Yes, they can. For a ton of those guys, they've managed to do it. For now, they'll try and hang on to the car as they head to the last couple corners. This is a challenge because if they can build temperature, they'll be away. But it's when do the heavens open some more? Because I can tell you with confidence it's coming again.
Coming again, no doubt about that, Scotty. There was an incident previously at the entry to the old start-finish straight. Oh, outside line though, as through goes in the One Performance Racing entry, John Trott, who has been super sneaky this season. Wilkinson is in prime Connor McDavid form right now. He has just broken away down the ice and has got a lone goal line in front of him, as Trott has now gotten through as well. So Isaac Curtis is stuck here trying to defend for his life, but he's getting swamped by wet tyre runners all around him. And at what point, though, do you stay out, Scott? How long do you stay out for on these drives? Because he's got to come in eventually and put the wets on if the track conditions don't get any better than what they are.
The problem is there's no rain on the radar. I reckon we've got another 15, 20 minutes of dry conditions here. So it's, for Isaac Curtis, who's the leader guys on dry tyres right now, forget it. Don't race these guys. Why are you racing these guys? They'll come back to you. They'll cook their tyres and you'll go sailing on by them. Fastest lap of the race, 2:01.7. Guess what? Wilkinson was 6 seconds faster than the field on the last lap.
That's ridiculous.
Because he's free. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Curtis is starting to build some temperature. He's starting to stabilise against the guys on wets. But for the meantime, he's just got to survive. This is nuts. This is absurd.
It is. And the clear air is helping him so immensely. Pete, you've been on a small trip down pit lane. I hope you were able to stay somewhat dry down there. What's the word at the moment? I'm assuming you've been catching up with some drivers.
Absolutely. No, it's just eavesdropping on Isaac Curtis and his team, how they're going. And on slicks, they're still pushing just a few more laps just to try and see how they go. But the message was the slicks have the advantage as they come out of the apex and onto the straights. So they're fast in the straights, but they've picked up that the advantage for the wets is actually coming into the corner. So that's what you're seeing tonight. What you're seeing right now is you're seeing Isaac is kind of not blocking, but defending the entry so that he can use the advantage what he's got on the slicks to drive out of the corner and stay in front. Scotty, I think you're right. I reckon there's still about sort of 10 to 15 minutes of dry to go before we even look at a little bit of light rain. So I think the slicks is the right tyre to be on if you can keep them warm right now. But I'll tell you what, Tommy Wilkinson's showing everybody it's something different, isn't he? Back to you guys.
Oh, Stapleton and Gretsch are going for... Sorry, my apologies, it's Curtis and Gretsch. And Curtis touched a puddle on the inside of the corner. What that's allowed is John Akers to go on through. Have a look. They're queuing up. They're just all queuing up in behind Isaac Curtis. And the problem is, can these guys get through on him? Right now, Isaac Curtis is playing gatekeeper. He's playing gatekeeper. You want a ticket to the show, you got to pay. And Isaac Curtis is the man that's taking admission.
I mean, it's once again a similar scenario to last time we were racing at Road Atlanta. It's like they're lining up at a butcher's waiting to get served. I mean, and Isaac Curtis right now is he selecting who he's going to let through? Well, he's not really making that conscious decision, but he's trying to select it how he's going to be able to defend this. There is some dry line starting to form. It's starting to form now, but he's got to hang on to the dry line. as hard as possible. He's got to clinch onto it as much as possible to not let any of them gain any advantage. The beauty for the wet tyre runners, though, is, Scott, they can run the wet line with no problem, where Curtis has got to stick to the one racing line if he wants to keep grip under his tyres on board that ARTT Mustang.
Well, the big one is Trent Allen in the middle of it all, because he can't choose his line. The guys ahead of him can choose whatever line that they want to choose, and he can't. He's sort of stuck. And now that's a big bomb from Edward Adcock. He's going to try and cut his way through. He manages to pick off one spot. The next car ahead of him is that next dry shod car of Trent Allen. This sector right here is disastrous. You get offline fractionally through there, you're in the fence. There's no way that you're resurrecting it, but he'll manage to hang on to it. 8th spot at the moment on the track. Track temperature, 16 degrees Celsius right now. It's stone cold. I just wonder, did the track conditions have sped up massively, you know? They're actually starting to find some speed out there. I just think the dries are very, very close. I reckon they'll switch on, not this lap, I reckon next lap. And once they've switched on, forget it. Now, then it's the wet tyre guys will have to hang on to it. So Curtis, all he's trying to do right now is just say to these boys, hold up, hold up, hold up, give me a lap. He's actually, did you just see that? He's actually started to pull away a little bit. The tyres are coming up to temp. I reckon he's got temp now.
Yeah, I think now that he's got temp, and obviously as this line starts to form better, we can still see, though, off the exit there's still a giant puddle right on the racing line, so he's got to try and contest with that. Oh my God, John Akers! Have you got brakes? I sure hope so, as Curtis has run it wide now, which is allowed good old Aiden Gretsch to get through, the leader of the Challenger class. Of course, there's a 5-second penalty coming the way of Becker for the incident with Kurt Chapman. So this is really heating up for these drivers, but I don't know. I think in the first two sectors, Scotty, Curtis has got the advantage because that's where the better dry line's forming, but once he gets into Sector 3, the Mustang is struggling without a proper racing line forming in terms of a dry line.
Well, it's just going to be about survival. Pete Baxter has been for another journey and another chat with another group of people, and was that to AITT, and it was that to Isaac Curtis, and telling him, have you got temp yet, buddy?
No, I stayed away from Isaac Curtis. Actually, I was on board with Adrian Gretsch without talking to him, just eavesdropping. And Adrian, he was basically saying to his team exactly what we said. Couldn't get him on the entry, but he had enough power on the straights to drive away from him. So when Isaac made that mistake going just under the bridge there, I think Adrian gets a whole heap of relief. Jumped on board with John Akers in the right sim team, but those guys are on full-on concentration, mate. There's not a word being said in that team. It's on. It's on.
Wide down the main straightaway at this point in time, because it's going to be BMW plays against Aston, plays against Porsche, and Will Buchanan's BMW is another one of those dry, slick tyre shod runners at this point in time. Look at the braking performance they both have around him. It's going to be to try and go around the outside, but that window's going to close, and that guy that's on the dry tyres doesn't have a whole lot of gear. It's the Aston Martin that loses all of its traction and loses the opportunity. If he can stay there, Dean Reddit down the inside of Will Buchanan, there'll be an opportunity, but Buchanan takes it back at the apex and takes it away from him. And again, the racing style, the performance of the cars, it's changing, it's chopping. Best times we've seen so far, 2:01.341 for John Trotz, just set a new fastest lap of the race, but he is 7.3 seconds away from the race lead. And at the big point in time, 2:05 last time by for Isaac Curtis on the dry tyres. He's starting to get temp. He's still 2 seconds a lap away from these guys. If he can get, he's just there and abouts, and it's just about to turn around and come back his way. But when do the heavens open?
I think this is a real struggle now for Curtis. We can see, though, battling away, Mark Foster here with the Porsche, battling with Martin Hallinan, who luckily got away with no penalty. He had an NFA on his last incident that he was fighting for at the moment. But as we head up towards P7, of course, in John Akers, well, John has been doing quite well tonight. He's now got an inside run on Curtis. So Isaac is starting to struggle now on those dry tyres here, Scott. And I don't know.
Alan, though?
Yeah, Alan's right there. Alan's doing well on his dries. No, there's no way. He's on a wet line. Surely not. Backs out of it. Smart move. So we know that Isaac is a smart racer. He is able to hang inside the 10. And, you know, one safety car could probably bring him back into this. I mean, he's not out of the woods just yet, obviously. We're only a few moments into this race. But Alan's got really good pace right now compared to his teammate. I think if you're ARTT, you've got to give the benefit here to Trent and just let him through.
Do you though? Because you want to be the first car on the dry tyre. Because when it switches
That's
on,
true.
it's a single groove. There's one groove. So if he gives up that spot, he's lost everything. But at the moment, he's still charging it a little bit too hard and not flowing it gently through the corners. And that's where Trent Allen's just making a little bit of time. He's keeping it on the tram track. And have a look at the trial line. You can just start to see it. The road is going a lighter shade of grey at this point in time. Where's the rain? Where is it on the forecast? Where is it on the window? It's still not coming. There's nothing coming yet, boys. There's nothing coming. The dries are going to switch on. But how far down the road?
We're only a small snippet away from that rain starting up again. Like we're only probably a good 10 minutes away now from it raining once again. Within this next 10 minutes, it's going to rain. But with Wilkinson so far up the road and Trott pulling out fastest lap after fastest lap, at this stage they're at such an advantage compared to these other drivers. The other thought process in as well, Scotty, as well. Curtis is struggling on these dries. Allen's not wrestling the car too much. He's letting it flow, as you said. Are they burning more fuel now? We know the Mustang's a fuel guzzler, but is driving like this on dry tyres and wet conditions, is that burning more fuel, which is then going to hinder their pit strategies come the first pit stop or even come the last stop later in the race?
Pete was saying 40 minutes if a heavy wet rain session. We're not going to get there. It's going to be a three-stopper. This is going to see it sort all night long, because if that pace dies off, we'll be gold. They'll get home. Yeah. But if that pace soars again, you're right, we're in trouble. This will be one that will be it's going to be unique to watch, because we've not had an on-again, off-again race like this one so far at all, which is, it's curious. It's the curious case of the slick tyre tonight.
And I think when we look at possibility of fuel savers out there, it's hard to look past John Trott at the moment in that BMW. Good gap. He's on the wets. He can save some fuel. He might be, again, up for another little sneaky performance tonight, Scotty.
Another overtake, and this will be on Will Buchanan on the BMW. Again, struggling for temperature. Round goes Roo! He lost it. It was just a fraction wide, and then they tripped over. He spun it around. They tripped over him all as well. He's going to lose a couple spots, but he'll manage to grab that one back. The sky, is it just me, or did it get brighter? The track temp just came up. The track temp just climbed a degree. We're starting to get temperature on board the track now as well.
This dry line is starting to form.
The rain just started.
Yeah, but here's the rain now too. So we've just clicked onto it. Remember I said within the next 10 minutes, well, it was in the next 2. And now the pressure meter's just been turned right up again, Scott. I'm seeing the top of this band that's coming as it's looping in. There's a shade of green just at the top of the band. I think there's probably going to be a good maybe 20 minutes or so of this light rain. We're then going to get into the heavy stuff, as running wide is John Akers and Curtis as well. So now the question beckons, well, how far do they go on these dries now the rain started up again, Scott? Or do they maybe come in straight away and just give in to the fact that they started on the wrong tyre?
Well, that'll be the big question, isn't it? How can you make this tyre work? They've got heat on the car. That's the big thing. That's step number 1. Get heat into the tyres. You've done that. Now you've got heat in the tyres. If it's just light, you can probably hang on for a fair way. There's next to no. When you get over the dry line, have a look at the cars left to right. Right, the cars on the left-hand side of that straightaway. A lot of spray coming out from underneath them. The cars that are on the right-hand side of that straight, no spray. So the line is, and it's only very, very light rain right now.
I think as Buchanan is just going for a massive send through the S's, I think, Scott, based on what we've just seen in that first sort of 15 to 17 minutes of this race, I actually think the dry tyre runners, they may be able to get to their first pit stop if they can come in around about the half an hour mark. They might be okay, as Dean Reddit's in for a black flag. So Dean's in for a penalty. That'll be a drive through as we're up at Adrian Gretsch at the moment. So I think, Scott, that based on what we've just seen and the fact that it's very, very light rain, and this is a pretty significant dry line that has formed, we may be able to make half an hour, get to the first pit stop, swap over to the wets. No harm, no foul. You've given up some time, but you can gain it back through safety cars later in the race.
And Trent Allen just had a problem trying to pull this car up when it was down at turn 3. New fastest lap of the race. They got down to the 2-minute flats, which means dry tyres did switch on. But is it going to switch on and is it going to switch off again? They took so long for them to switch on. There's 20 seconds back from the race lead. That's how far Wilkinson got down the road with that early overtake. That's how critical it was to place the car in just the right spot of the racetrack. Now we'll go up and through the S's. This is turn 7, turn 8. Back to the right-hand side. And you can just see Alan's got so much more grip, but he's off the line. This is suicide. No, he's managed to pull it up. Parks it, gets the job done. All right, now let's see what car pace car 27 has got. He's run down the wet shod driver of Adrian Gretsch. What's his next opportunity? It's still very light rain, track condition, very lightly wet, precipitation that's coming from the heavens, 1%. I cannot tell you, ladies and gents, what it's like to be on these cars right now, because you would be nervous. Conditions are changing every lap. Am I on the right tyre? Am I on the wrong tyre? The guys are on the dries have been on the wrong tyre to this point. It just switches on and then the heavens open. Are you kidding me? What a Sunday it's been.
It's been a hectic Sunday, Pete, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I just come back from the AITT, and I mean, these are the guys to watch right now because they're the ones that made the choice to get onto the slicks at the start of the race. Yes, they were questioning why they were doing it, but they were also saying, hey, we're right on the crossover, essentially, for going from slicks to dry. So we've got to stay here right now, and with a little bit of rain coming, we've got to make use of the heat that we've got in the tyres. So they know that when they come in for pits, they're going to be changing to wets, given the rain that's becoming. They don't expect to be able to stay on slicks after a certain stage, but they're going to run as long as they can, and whilst they're getting some lap time. And Will Buchanan just whacked off another beauty with a 158. As they're getting some lap time with those hot tyres, until it gets heavy, then stay on the slicks and burn your fuel down. Try to get to that two-stopper.
Look at the guys at the back that are coming for a fresh set of dries. James Mason just at the fastest lap of the race.
Oh my God, they've switched on completely now, Scott. But in my mind, I suppose if you're at the back of the field, you're fine. You take a dice roll and you see what you can pull out. If you're further back though and you've started on wets, is there any point coming through pit lane? Well, I suppose you could change tyres for free, but how long until you got to come in again and put wets back on? I mean, I think at this stage you've made your bed, you've got to lie in it from that choice. The dry tyres have switched on. How long is the switch going to be on for though until they need wet tyres again? Because they've weathered the initial storm, ironically, which had no rain, of wet tyre running. How long's the dry tyre running going to last though? Because if we look at some of the spray that's coming off these cars, well, there's pure dry line formed on some corners, and on others, there is the wettest of dry lines still on there. It's the exact example of greasy running tonight. And when's it going to change, Scott, from greasy to properly wet? Because there's sections that suit the dries, there's sections where they can work with it, they can kind of wrestle their way through it. But eventually you're going to get tapped out yourself and you're not going to be able to wrestle it any longer. I still think it's going to be until the first stop. I think they can get to half an hour, and I think they can swap over to wets pretty much for free in terms of a regular pit stop in this race without coming in early.
Hamish, I'll tell you one thing, mate. After Thursday night's experience in similar conditions, don't stay on dries if the safety car comes out.
Head in onto the wets if you get the chance.
Okay. I'll change that for the both of you. Do whatever gives you tyre temp. Mate, Right now, if the safety car come out, I just circulate through the pit lane every lap. And the reason I'd circulate through the pit lane is so I had a long run of trying to put temperature in the tyre. Because if you sit at safety car speeds, you're just a dead man walking. If the dry tyres go cold, forget it. You're never getting that temperature back. That's actually the point. It's got nothing to do with what the right tyre is. It's a dry tyre in these conditions with no temperature. Stupid. Suicide.
Yep. And if you think that it's going to be like this for a good period of time, which again I still think we're a good half an hour away from the heavy rain coming. If you're going to pit for say a little splash and dash under a safety car, you just keep your current tyres on. They're warm. You don't need to change them at this stage. Keep the warm slicks. Put the fuel in the car. And then maybe take another initial splash later. Because we know what the case has been the last few rounds, Scotty, where it's often taken a short splash at the very end of the race to get home. You're kind of offsetting that short splash to another point of the race where you change over to the wets if you do stay on those dries. But we can see it working firsthand for these dry tyre runners right now. It's working to an absolute perfection because Allen and Buchanan have chased down Trent Stapleton, and they are now all over the back of him as well. And we can see some of these wet tyre runners getting onslaughted from the dry tyre runners.
Oh my God. Have a look at these guys. So have a look at that battle pack that's going absolutely nuts. Well, Will Buchanan and Trent Allen have just caught Stapleton, and they're going to try and breeze past him on a straight right here. They'll see if they can get the drive. They'll see if they can get after him. They'll see if they can pick off Trent Stapleton to the inside. He's on the wet line. They're both on the wet line. They've got dry tyres on. The water underneath them is absolutely making it treacherous, but temperature builds and then it stays. And I tell you what, Stapleton defended around the outside, but he'll be a sitting duck in the straight this time, and Trent Allen's going to be on the dry side of the track, which is going to be on the right. This time he'll be able to stay on the island, go late on the anchors. Is Will Buchanan going to be able to come up the inside? He does. He gets to the inside. Wheel spin. But as he finds wet, greasy conditions, Allen runs it wide, manages to hang on to it. Now how does Buchanan deal with Stapleton? There's a tram track work of where the grip is, but can he keep the car underneath him? At the moment, the wet tyres are cooking. They're going off. Buchanan gets there, gets the 4 spot. Next target acquired. It's Richard Mayer and it's P3 who will be chasing for next.
So there's 2.1 seconds between them. Will Buchanan is a man on a mission right now. 156.6 the last lap time. And that BMW, which has been at kind of the bottom end of the BOP in previous seasons, it looks like it's switched on now, Scotty. It has got the tyres underneath it to push forward. It's got the capability to stay nice and tidy as well. But we can see that Stapleton is under mass pressure here from Isaac Curtis and from Trent Allen as well. Which one can get the benefits through the last few corners of the old circuit as they run it round onto the old start-finish straight? It's Stapleton who's going to lead them on for the rest of this battle. It is an enticing opportunity for them to race, but if we look at this, Will Buchanan broke away from this battle pack only a few corners ago. He's already on the back of Richard Mayer's car. He is already onto the back of that Corvette. That BMW is switched onto its perfect conditions right now.
I'll give you the marker. There's some analysis to come into this one. Richard Mayer runs a little bit wide out of the final corner. Here comes Buchanan. He'll get it to the inside. 2 laps ago, the margin was 22 seconds to the race lead. It's now 12 seconds. It is dry tyres. If you're not on them, you're in a world of hurt. The race leaders took the speculative call. They're on a wet tyre, but Mr. Buchanan says, hey boys, look in the rearview mirror. It's me, lap time, and I'm coming after you.
He is chasing them down, chasing at a pure and honest chase down right now. And we are only 26 minutes into this race. Are you kidding me? 26 minutes in, still an hour and a half to go and change. And this race is completely flipped. It is flipped from favouring Wilkinson and Trott, who broke away, to now favouring the chase down cars of Revolution E-Racing of Will Buchanan, Isaac Curtis and Trent Allen, who are just a little bit behind as well. 10-second penalty going the way of Braden O'Loughlin for contact on lap 11 as well. So that will hinder him a little bit. One thing I didn't mention earlier too, Isaac Curtis has got a 5-second penalty hanging over his head as well for later in the race. So if he ends up in a race-winning position tonight, he's going to have some gap to build if he wants to hold on to it. Pete, this is an intriguing scenario. This is exactly why Motegi is a fantastic racing circuit, when you can get weather thrown up like this at a track that is great for racing, great for battling. We are getting every beautiful go-to on a charcuterie board laid out in front of us right now, and we are just tasting it all in and taking it all in at every opportunity we get.
No, absolutely, Hamish. And as I said here before Scotty jumped in, for those that don't like Motegi, come and tell me why, because I got to tell you, I love it and it's delivering everything it can.
Get out.
The question that I've been asking a lot of people right now is, when you go on your pit stops, what are you thinking? What tyres are you going to stay on? Or are you going to change your current tyres? So if you're on wets and you've got warm wets, are you going to change them when you come to the pit stops? And the pit stop will give them time to change the tyres, but they go onto cold tyres. Do they go onto cold wets? Do they go onto cold slicks? What's going to be faster at the time? How much more rain is coming? That's the question. These questions are unanswered. I can't even give them to you. I can look at the radar. I can see that there is more rain coming. It's going to stay like this for probably at least the majority of the next stint. But I couldn't tell you whether dry tyres or slick tyres are the ones to start. Boys, up to you.
Really important we keep an eye on this one. This is James Mason. He's made a pit stop to come back in and put a dry tyre on. And I tell you what, it's starting to work out. This is the ability to overtake. Last lap, I ran a 2-minute flat. Rain intensity's picked up marginally. This time, I got a new update on what his lap time was. James Mason runs a 1:58, and I think he overtook 3 cars on that lap. So I just had another message come through, and I was monitoring lap times of the guys on wets versus dries, and we were talking about whether or not what tyre it's better to go on to and whether or not it's swapping at this point in time. And they said, no, we want to stay on the wet tyre. We're doing a 201 at this point in time. We're comfortable. The other guys, they've fallen off. They got to 56s and they fell off. And I just said, did you have a look at how many cars they overtook on that lap? And they went, oh, you know what? Might be a dry.
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, it's an intriguing context, intriguing piece of information to remember as well. Lap times are only so reflective based on, well, what have they approached on the lap? Have they been in a battle? Have they had to overtake cars? Or have they had clear track ahead of him? Trent and Isaac, well, they've got no traffic ahead of them. They can now work their way forward, get up to the back of their teammate Will Buchanan, and chase down that now 3.2 second gap up to John Trott. That is significantly shrunken over the last few laps. And then the gap to the leader is down below 10 seconds to Tom Wilkinson from Will Buchanan's BMW at the moment. The chase down is on for the race leaders. John Trott is into pit lane. And I think, we heard Pete say before, what's the choice? If you're going to change wets, do you change to colds or do you stay on the warm wets? I think with rain coming, if you're on wets and you're not going to change to dries, just keep the warm wet tyres because they've at least got temperature in them. There is no point changing to cold wet tyres on this next stop. You may as well hang on to the wet tyre. If you're going to change it, hang on to it. He's on dries. Wow. Yep. So that's a bold choice because, as I said, within the next half an hour or so, we're going to hit that heavy punch of rain coming on the radar. There is a big dark green cloud coming that is going to pump rain straight onto the tarmac of Mobility Resort Motegi. So to go on dries right now is a bold choice, but he can offset his splash to a bit earlier in the race, come in early, put the wet tyres on when he needs to, and push on. But he is taking strategic choice here, Scott, to put the dries on that car to try and push forward, but it's going to take him some time to get temp to the tyres.
Now the tyres got temp, I think they're keeping the dry line drier with car temp, with tyre temp. I reckon that's actually cleaning it up a little bit and keeping it a little bit nicer. In terms of lap time, leader's just done a 2:01.609. Will Buchanan behind him is 5 seconds behind, by the way. 58.1 on that most recent lap. I tell you, the sector times for car 25, they don't look good for Tom Wilkinson in the lead of the race. What's he going to do? Is he going to come in at the end of this lap? What about the guys that are on the dries? Alan, Curtis, they're all through on those guys. James Mason's just set a new fastest lap of the race. Did you have a look at the heavens? They've opened on that lap. There's rain coming down and he's gone faster on the most recent lap, and now he's got clear track ahead of him. He is surging ahead as the McLaren of James Mason, and there's a decision that comes. This is crunch time for Orbit Drop Bear Motorsports. Crunch time for Tom Wilkinson. He watches a lot of racing. He debates things. He talks. He's going to continue on. I think he's lost his marbles. I think he's absolutely lost his marbles on this call.
Yeah, I think he should have come in. I think he should have followed John in, put on the dries, push on for a bit, get the temperature into them. I think he's hoping that it's going to start raining a bit sooner than what we may be anticipating, or maybe the dry line is going to maybe moisten up a little bit when we get to it. I think he's just hanging on for dear life and hoping that this race is going to happen for him. It's all going to have to try and come together as best it can. Stapleton's in. Do we think he's going to take dries here, Scott? Because I think he is going to want to try and... Yeah, I think he does. But I think the longer they go, the less likely they may be to take dries. If they've got a spotter with them who's watching that radar, which I have sent into our little chat so everyone can keep an eye on it too. I just sent a photo of it. If there's a spotter in there with them watching the radar, the longer they go on, the less likely they are to put dries on the car, because we're going to be closer to that wet running. And in fact, Stapleton has stayed on his warm wet tyres. So he is staying on the warm wets because they've got the temperature in them, Scotty. And I think that could be as little...
That's a bad call. Yeah. I think it's
better than going to cold wets. I'll say that. It's better than going to cold wets.
Hey boys, I think we've got two races tonight. I think we've got the race of those who want to win, and they will take the risk and they'll stay on dry tyres for as long as they can until they must be on wets. And then I think we've got the safety race, and they're the guys who will drive in a comfortable pace and stay out there to get what I say, the best result they can get, but they don't expect to win. So, by staying on wets, they know they've got the best chance of getting to the finish line as fast as they physically can get to the finish line, which, as we all know, that's the aim of racing, right? So what I do know is the AAT boys, they've probably got another 2.5 laps of juice to go. Their tyre choice, they're going to stay on the dries until the wet weather really comes, boys.
Oh,
I don't mind that. Well, we got a Mustang. Yeah, we've also got a Mustang spun round at turn 1 as well. That there was Martin Hallinan, and Jesse McMenamin's gone round down there in the Merc as well. So there's a couple of cars that have now gone around. Buchanan and Allen are right on the tail now of Tom Wilkinson. He has stayed out once again here, Scott. And I think this is a massive misplay from Wilkinson now at this point, as we can see the run from Brant Tucker as he battles away in behind what is John Trott and Atkins ahead of him. So this is really starting to heat up because Wilkinson is under max pressure. He stayed out too long because now the ARTT boys are back into contention and they are right on his heels. And I think not just giving up position here, Scott, to the Revolution E-Racing guys, he'll give up position to John Trott, and he very well may likely give up position to other cars further back in the train by giving up this much time on the wet, as Buchanan is right on the back of the vet there, trying to put pressure on Wilkinson of Drop Bear and Orbit Motorsports. And, well, Buchanan, it seems like an only matter of time till he gets through as he looks for an inside run on Tom, but he can't quite get the drive out the corner.
And now Trent Allen's arrived on the scene as well, so now they're going toe-to-toe. Does he yield? Does he relent? Does he give up on the tyres that have been giving him the grip to this point in time? And I can tell you what, Trent Allen's starting to struggle with the rear end of the Mustang. It is starting to be a little bit greasier. Has the track wetness gone up just a click? What is Buchanan going to do? Is he going to poke the nose out on the run? Down to the last couple of corners he is. Can he pull the car up in a greasy line? Looks for the crisscross, does Wilkinson. Great selection from him to try and do what he could. But as soon as that BMW lit it up, it got traction. Does he dive to pit lane? Now he comes. Is that the end of the fuel tank, though, for Wilkinson? Is that the reason that he's dived into the lane?
It's a wild entry into pit lane. Also, 15-second penalty heading the way of Kurt Chapman here, Scotty. So that's a big time loss there for Kurt, as Allen's now also gotten through on Will Buchanan. So a change for the race lead. How much longer can they go for, though, on this fuel run? Being that they've stuck with the dry tyres, we know they're going to stay on the dry tyres. The question is, though, Scott, are they actually going to change their dries, or are they going to keep the old, warm, dry tyres on their cars to get the benefit of the temperature?
Yeah, well, I think you leave the warm tyres on. I don't think there's a hope in hell. I don't think you put cold tyres on those cars. I think you'd be serious. Wilkinson's got wets on.
Yeah, but he's kept them on. He hasn't changed them. He's kept the warm, wet tyres on there.
He's hoping for more rain. He's hoping for more rain.
He's waiting for that big green cloud to hit.
Now,
but the problem is he's still a fair while away from it.
Having said that, the dry line is actually starting to go off a little bit again. You know, last time by Trent Allen, Allen's now got through on Buchanan. There's been a change for the race lead. I reckon the line has just crossed over. Is this a Wilkinson market? Oh, are you kidding me? No, it's traffic. It's traffic in the way at the moment. I think that's Stefan Mellis that they're actually going to go and drive on by. But at this point in time, I reckon it is. We might be just crossing back over in the opposite direction, you know. Don't tell me.
It's like a Bay Marie. It's just continuing to spin around the table for us, Scotty. It goes from dry to wet to dry to wet. What selection do you make out there on circuit if it's going to go your way or not? Martin Hallinan's had another incident, by the way, further back in the field, so he's not having the night that he would have wanted to remember here at Motegi. But there is giant looming puddles, and if you go offline at the wrong point of the circuit and you're on those dry tyres, it is going to be hell to pay for you. And as they come in, the race leaders, so let's see what they do.
What are these guys doing? Surely they stay on.
Well, as Pete said, they were going to stay on the dries, but is this maybe going to change their mind, just how the track's starting to evolve?
Just got a message from Spotter for Tom Wilkinson as well. Fresh wet tyres. Have a look at where John Trott came out.
Oh, he's right on him.
Right on him.
He's right on him.
Dry tyres versus wets. But
how is he stayed? Oh, yeah, I suppose he had a 6-second gap, so he mustn't have given up 6 seconds whilst John was in the traffic.
Well, and the other thing is, John had to warm those tyres up which he's now done. Trent Allen's got a speeding in the pit lane, or is it an unsafe? It might be an unsafe entry penalty. Actually, you can pick those up here. So that's. I mean, so this will be the overtake.
It's a wild pit lane. Trott is right behind Wilkinson, but he's happy just to sit there for the moment. Here, Scotty, I don't think he was willing to send it in too hard at that point. It is wetting up though out there. The rain is falling again. We are inching closer and closer to the heavier rainfall coming onto us. And as it reveals more of itself, Scott, on the radar, it is a looming dark cloud of rain that is coming. It is
Can you
looming.
get there?
I mean, we can get there. We can get to the green for sure. I think we're going to get there. As I said, it was probably within half an hour earlier, but I think it might be a little bit more than that now. It might be by the hour we get there, as here comes Trott on the outside of Wilkinson. He's managed to hold him off, but it is dragging Isaac Curtis into this now, who goes up on John Trott. So Curtis has gotten around Trott here and is now chasing down Wilkinson. And it looks like, it's a 23-second stop, so it could go either way, Scotty. It could either be fresh dries or it could be the warm dries that they previously had on.
Well, look at the pace. Look at the lap speed they extracted. Remember how long the dry tyres take to warm up as well to get some temperature? That's warm dry tyres. There's no way you would have played. That's such a huge risk. And the other thing is, if there's heavier rain coming, well, you don't need to hang on to those tyres to the end of the race. If you've got to swap back to the wets, you don't care. They don't have to last for forever. They're just going to last for now.
Yeah. And as we've spoken about previously as well, we know that the last few weeks we've had a small splash towards the end of the race. What they're probably planning on now is they'll just offset the splash. So if they can't go for a full 35 minutes again and they have to come in earlier, it is just going to offset that splash a little bit, which means they may be able to do it on one more stop if they can go another 35 minutes after that. So it's going to be a tight call. Right now, we're an hour and 20 minutes into this race. They made 35 minutes on the last stop. So the next 10 minutes, at 1 hour and 10 minutes into this race, they can pit and they can get home on one more stop. And I think that may be the possible changeover point of this race, Scotty. Looking at how this weather is progressing, looking how the radar's progressing, I think an hour and 10, you could risk coming in and putting the wet tyres on. But I don't think they're going to go for a full stint on this mid-stint. I think they're going to pit early and they'll be forced to pit for wet tyres at some point.
Well, this is a battle. This is guys fighting over the dry line on the racetrack, and now they're going to get into each other as they tangled. That was for the dry line, because that is Isaac Curtis in behind, who wants to keep the car on the tram tracks. If he gets off the tram tracks, he's in trouble. Now he's going to put two right-hand side tyres in the wet. John Trott's going to find some speed to his left-hand side. Covering it does Tom Wilkinson. And now the two dry tyres squabble in behind him, and he just takes a little bit away from them. But that was risk. Curtis stuck two tyres in a puddle. And all I've done all day is watch guys in V8 supercars stick two dry tyres in massive puddles and put the car on the fence. So I can tell you from, second-hand experience, it wasn't my experience, but I witnessed all of it. Do not do what Isaac Curtis just did.
It's okay, Scotty. We're not going to talk about daylight savings at this broadcast.
Oh.
Shout out Zach came in.
You will get stabbed in your sleep.
Oh, I know.
No, Scotty, Isaac Curtis is just tyre cooling, right? But hey, look, anyway, I've been watching the radar, I've been watching the clock. I think right on the hour mark of this race is when we're about to hit the green and heavy rain. So, and the significance of that is mid pit stop. So it's mid two stop. It turns this into a three stop straight away, right? So because if we hit the rain right on the hour mark, anybody on slicks is going to have to come in and put wets on. No doubt about it. There is so much rain coming. This is dead set going to be a slicks only race in about 20 minutes time. Once they do that, they've still got another stop to get to the end. But everybody who's on slicks right now, who may be costing some time, they might be able to go a bit longer. Who knows?
The problem is we're fractured. The race leader, Will Buchanan, just did a 59. Did a 1:59, by the way. So he's only 2 seconds faster than the wet shod runner. That was out to about 6-7 seconds at one point in terms of difference in speed. It's transitioning. It's coming back to the guys on the wets. It's coming. It's gone. It's coming. It's gone. It's coming again.
It is. It's toing and froing. I mean, debris on the track's going to have a part to play too, obviously, as this track gets wetter and wetter. And the looming thought of that heavy rain coming is going to start to look fair warning sign, I should say, to those dry tyre runners. But I think how we're tracking 7 minutes 45 seconds or so away from that critical time slot of pitting, especially for those Mustangs. We went 35 minutes on the previous stint. Oh my God. Curtis is really pushing this
wets
car.
Switched off.
Yeah.
The driver switched off again, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Or he was offline at the wrong moment. Quite possibly, because
there's the tram. Look at the tram tracks. We need to go back on board with these guys. Look for the tram tracks here. Remember how light that line was just recent. Okay, this is probably the wrong car because we're right in the wrong spot. We need to be ahead so we can actually get a good clear view. So we're going to be on board with Isaac Curtis or someone else that's got clear view of the track is basically what I'm talking about at this point.
Oh, contact with Trot!
Well, there you go. There's the tram tracks. See the tram tracks? That's getting darker again.
Yeah.
See that? That's narrowed. That was quite wide before. It's narrowed back up again.
Yeah, this is becoming struggle street now for Isaac Curtis and John Trott. Tom Wilkinson's broken away now from him. The gap to chase down for Wilkinson to Buchanan is 7.5 seconds to the race leader. Now, we are 6.5 minutes away from critical time of pit stop to get the cars home on the most bare margins of fuel game on board these cars. They made 35 minutes on the initial stint. They're going to go less than 35 minutes if they want to come in at critical mass. So we're looming onto more rain. The dry line is shrinking every single lap, Scotty. It is shrinking. And it's a massive advantage now to the wet tyre runners. So I think it's flipped the script again.
Here you go. This is really, really important. Look at these last lap times. Leader, 2 minutes, 0.482. Wilkinson just did his fastest lap of the race, 2:01.082. 0.6 of a second between them. Next lap, Wilkinson's going to have the fastest car.
Yep. We're at the changeover point once again. But the problem now for those dry tyre cars is they've got to go another 5 minutes to not risk needing a splash at the end. So they can't come in too early here, because if they come in too early, it could ruin them in this race. So I think for Curtis and Trott, they've just got to push on, maybe hope for a safety car or something, and then come in and smack the wets on them at the earliest possible opportune moment. As we've had an incident in behind, Ed Adcock has just exited pit lane, by the way, and I believe he may have, he's dropped out, he's blinked out. So Adcock's had an incident here, coming out of pit lane and has just blinked away. But Buchanan, he is in a dominant position right now. But how long will it take, Scotty, for that 7.8 second gap to shrink with Tom Wilkinson chasing him down? Although in saying that, Curtis and Trott have managed to get up to the back of Wilkinson once again. So again, it's a swinging motion here. It's a swinging piece of momentum, and it's a swinging dry line that is really hurting Wilkinson on this lap. But previous laps have been hurting Curtis and Trott.
So let's take a look. This is a really, really good opportunity. The difference between wet and dry. So you see the wet tyre shoot off through the corners, and then you'll see the dry tyre. Now have a look. See that dry margin. There was no spray a couple laps ago coming from the rear end of these cars. There's just a little bit of it. Look how early he's got to be on the brakes now compared to the guy on the wet tyres just ahead. Fresh wet tyres on board for Tom Wilkinson. And he's going to try and put the foot down. And again, this line was actually half the straightaway at this point, probably 5 laps ago. Not anymore. He gets over there, he cools the tyres on the wet side of the track. He just takes a little bit of the edge of the temperature out of them. And again, he makes ground, but there's no major gain anymore.
No, there's not. And we saw then, as he kind of clipped the edge of the puddle on the inside of the corner, the car just got really unsettled through that part of the corner. So I think the temperature of the tyres is starting to come down, plus these greasy conditions that are back out there. Plus, they're having to drive through pretty much sand traps on the road with a heap of gravel down there. This is not helping the dry tyre runners. We're only probably a few minutes away from the heavy rain coming, and we're 3.5 minutes away from the earliest possible moment for those dry tyre runners to come in and make it home on one more stop in this race after that. Pete, I'm sure you got a bit of info for us. It's an even flowing racing scenario here with the dry and the wet tyres. And who's it going to favour at which stage? We're right on changeover at this point.
Look, I'm not going to answer those questions. I went and had a check with Eddie Adcock about what's happened, and yeah, let's be honest, he was hating the race, so that was enough, and it was just bailed. So that's why Eddie's jumped out, and that's first DNF race.
First one out as we ride on board with Rue Koistra further back here. A tightening battle with James Mason, Atkins. They've got Reddit up the road from him and Hughes in behind as well. So mid-pack battles are plenty. Front pack battles are plenty as well. And running it wide is Jacob Hughes. It's a struggle there for packets as we're back with Tom Wilkinson and Isaac Curtis once again fighting their way through. And they seem almost even across the circuit, Scotty. It's almost a 50-50 right now on who it favours. And this is proper changeover stuff. And I suppose it's leaning now towards the wet tyre runners as Curtis is wanting a run up the inside. Couldn't quite get close enough. He can't maximise exit because he can't get the drive out of the corners to perfection. He's got great pace down the straight, but he struggles on corner entry where he's trying to get these moves made, but it's not working out for him at the moment. The important factor, though, as we mentioned, it was 7.5 seconds, only a few laps to go up to Buchanan. It's now out to 10 seconds nearly, back to Tom Wilkinson. Obviously, the battle will be having a part to play in that, but I think it's just flipped back slightly towards the dry tyres, at least, for the last few laps.
Yeah, for now, but that darker weather is coming. Actually, you know what? There's a small bubble of no rain that hit the circuit for a fraction of a lap. I reckon probably half a lap there was no rain on part of the circuit. That might have switched the dry tyre back on just a little bit.
Yeah.
The problem is as well, if this is fractionally too dry, the wet tyre's cooking and the dry tyre's not really working at the moment. I think we're in a weird zone where it's a little bit of both. The other thing I'll put in your mind, and this is really, really important for the viewers, is I would jump on board with Isaac Curtis and just do a whole lap on board with him. And we're going to I'm going to talk you through this. I don't know how much driving you do in these sorts of conditions, Hamish, but this is generally when my endurance teams put me in, is for these exact sets. There is a very, very good reason for this. You're about to learn how to drive a wet track on a dry tyre. Right now, have a look at this. Big puddle to the right. Okay, no risk here. I've got to drive this perfectly to the tram track. No risk again. Big puddle out here to the left. Look at how much more of the road that the guy on the wet tyre ahead of me can use. And Isaac Curtis cannot touch the curb on the left-hand side. There's a dry line here. I'm perfectly on it. If I go half a car width to the right, I'm in the fence. And that's what I'm driving into at the moment. So I want to overtake this car ahead of me, but the amount of racetrack I can use, I can't use any of it. He can use every little bit he wants, but why is he going to give me the line that I want? He is going to take my line away from him, and then all I can do is follow him. This is risky. If I place the car here and I pinch a brake, I take us both out. I skate off to the outside. I touch that puddle on the left. That's risk. All I see left, right, and centre, risk. All I can do is follow this guy. He's quicker than him. I reckon he's probably about three-quarters of a second quicker than Tom Wilkinson ahead right now. But he can't pass because if he moves to the left or to the right, well, he's in the fence.
That's right. Exactly right. Exactly right. There's a bit of leakage in the bridge, actually. That's why it's raining through the bridge. But as Curtis is just trying to find his way past Wilkinson, but he can't get through. So Wilkinson's getting probably the easiest defense mechanism now here at Motegi because of the fact that Curtis cannot run on that wet line. My experience in wet racing, well, my best performance in a wet race was Watkins Glen 6 Hour, where we finished the car 5th. I was the only driver to actually do a wet stint in that Corvette last year. It was a great time, though. It was the 2024 race, not the 2025 race, luckily. So the Corvette was actually switched on for that one. It was a fun time at the Watkins Glen 6 Hour when I did the wet stint, hour and a half stint. It was very fun. Raw this year, when I took the win, I didn't get a lick of rain, but my mates in the other splits, well, they did get rain. So I was pretty lucky on that front. But you know, I mean, this is probably the biggest struggle now for Curtis, being on these dries. He can't go anywhere. He just has to sit here, either wait for the door to open, or that's all he can do, is wait for the door to open. He can't force an issue because he can't go on the wet line. He's got to run. This may be it, and this is the door opening for him. So the door's now open on Wilkinson. He's got the run on him through the final few corners. And Isaac Curtis has got to try and get this car pulled up, half greasy line, half dry line. But Wilkinson wants to switch back here on Curtis's contact, and Curtis has gone round.
Did he get him? Did he touch him? Yeah, he did. You know what? I went back and had a quick look at it. He did. He did get him. Just. And the problem for Wilkinson is he had grip on the corner exit. So he wanted to throttle up, and the car ahead of him, he just couldn't. He couldn't transition to the gas, and he got into the back of him.
No, this is this is really... and you got to feel for Curtis. He had to work so hard to get that move done. And then through one moment, he finally had the move. He finally had the overtake. And then he's back behind. And I think Tom's actually waiting to redress the position. I think Tom may be trying to redress. But we've got this battle happening back here with James Mason, Dean Reddit, and Matt Bakir further back in the field. Mark Foster's just leading this battle pack as well. So this has tightened up for us further back. But Trent Naylor as well. Adrian Gretsch battling too. Up towards the mid part of the circuit. You can see Naylor. Oh, he ran it way wide. Akers, sorry, that was Akers and Naylor. My apologies. John Akers ran it way wide there, and he's off the road. And so now Trent Naylor has gotten a free hit here just to run away. But it is struggle street out there right now, Scotty. It is struggle street. But Tom has just redressed to Isaac Curtis. So fair play to Tom. He knew he made the mistake there, Scotty. Redressed the position. They keep going. But unfortunately for both of them, they've now lost position of John Trott.
Hey boys, that's an absolute mistake from Tom Wilkinson. He shouldn't be redressing. As he had that contact, Johnny Trott got through, which is an extra car involved, and according to the rules, there's another car involved. A redress doesn't count. You're still going to get a penalty. So you should have, with that other car being involved, Tommy Wilkinson should have been pedal to the metal, keep going, and cop the 5 seconds or whatever he's going to get. And I reckon it's about a 5 seconds.
Sure, from a penalty standpoint, but there's also sportsmanship. And that's, regardless of the rules, that's sportsmanship. So take that.
Oh, 100%. Give you sportsmanship, mate. Yeah. But if you're going to, I mean, and you know, Scotty, that on the first to redress everything, but in that case, he's always going to cop the penalty anyway. So don't expect to see that the redress is going to be waved off. I think Tom Wilkinson's still got another 5 seconds coming. I tell you what, boys, I just come out of the Alpine Pro team. I had a chat with Adrian Grech, someone who we've long admired for his ability to get to the end of races without going past the fight. However, that aside, it was really interesting because Adrian is running P2 in the Challenger class right now, following up Kurt Chapman in the AITT. He was wondering why Kurt was going just that little bit fast. He's going, I just can't keep up with him, Pete. And I said, mate, he's on slick tyres, you're on wets. You know, there's a 3 second difference right now. Eye-opening bit of information, and look, publicly available information. So that sort of settled Adrian down. Everybody knows there's a little bit more rain coming, and look, the boys are thinking that they're still in a good spot, even though he's currently running second now. And I still think we're going to watch out in about sort of 5 to 10 minutes' time. Everybody on slicks is going to be in trouble. Back to you guys.
So, wow, Trent Allen off the road. And was there contact there, Scott, or was... Yeah. Oh, so Trent Allen has had a wild moment down there. And that is heartbreak for Trent Allen. I'm just trying to look back on it myself here just to see.
Oh, Glenn Jones, I think, is around as well. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
In a Ferrari.
Yeah. The drivers are struggling in these conditions, Scott. We are past the 1 hour and 10 minute mark, and we are right on the bubble of the heavy rainfall that we've been anticipating for the last sort of 30, 40 minutes. So Tom is starting to get the benefit here over Isaac Curtis. So the wet tyres are starting to turn back on. The pressures are coming up for them. Rain's about to fall. And the wet tyre runners about to reap the benefits. But in saying that, the dry tyre runners, they can still do a regular pit stop here, Scott, because they are past the critical time. They can put wets on, and they're not going to give up an extra pit stop by doing that.
Well, yeah. The tricky thing is we're past that mark of where you will knock out one of the potential pit stops. So is a fuel number actually all that relevant? I think we're going to have that incident involving car 25 looked, I think, probably next by the stewards. They've had a busy night. Their sheet is legitimately a dog's breakfast at the moment with the amount of stuff that they've had to review tonight. I am showing... okay, that's not going to help because it gave me a sum.
I think they've
38
got,
lines. 38 lines on the race control sheet tonight.
38.
38 incident reviews in 57 minutes.
Are you looking at round 5? Because I'm currently
no, my apologies, I'm not. And you'd be looking.
there's 16 lines at the moment.
That was round 1. My sincerest of apologies.
I was looking at round 5 and I'm like, wait, where are these secret 12 lines or 22 lines that you're speaking of here for 38? I also got to close up. Did you tell Pete to get out earlier when he said that Motegi's in his top 5 favourite tracks, Scotty?
Yes, I did. Aggressively. Get out. Bugger off. Did everyone come in for wet tyres?
I think they may have, because they're right on changeover. John's in. We'll see what he takes. I feel like I don't want to tell you my favourite race circuit in the world now, Scott, because you may criticise me.
I will judge you no matter what you say.
No one normally does. Yeah, wet tyres on John's car. So John's taking wets. So I think we're at proper changeover time now, and they know they can get home from here. So they're in safety net zone of pitting, and then only having one more stop to take. My favourite race circuit in the whole world, by the way, is the Red Bull Ring. I love the Red Bull Ring. It's a great track. And often people don't disagree with me on it. They normally just say, oh, it's not my favourite, but I do like it. I haven't really had any negative responses to that.
Okay, I'll give you a negative response, but not for the reasons you think. You've picked a really mid track for your favourite track. That's my take on it. Is that the problem with the Red Bull Ring is there's nothing iconic about it, and there's nothing.
There might not be anything iconic about it, but it's very fun to drive, and I love driving the Red Bull Ring.
It's a really bland circuit. The racing on it is generally quite good because it's one of the few circuits you can actually race through just the other corner of the track. So the racing on it generally races quite well, but that's about the only redeeming factor. Dry tyres are certainly in trouble as we get to this juncture of the race. Will Buchanan, I think, just lost another 2 seconds on this lap. Tom Wilkinson was about 1.7 seconds faster than him on the most recent lap. He was 2 seconds faster than just about everyone else. The wet tyres are switching back on. This is Richard Mayer at the moment, who's trying to get back out there. I wonder, though. Yeah, this is Isaac Curtis versus Richard Mayer. Curtis is on the wet line. He's on a greasy part of the racetrack. He's not going to be able to pull it up and turn it nice and accurate. Look at Richard just sat there and went, I've got speed. Where can I go? I can't go left. I can't go right. I can't go left. I can't go right. And then, yeah, that's why he's getting flashed at the moment. Because we propped him up. I reckon Curtis will be in.
Yeah, we're hitting this green spot of mass rain about to come in. And Buchanan is going on to wet tyres. So now we've got to watch for Isaac Curtis. He's coming in as well. And we'd assume wet tyres going onto every single car because the heavy rain is about to fall and we are under 1 hour to go in this race. So they can get home with one more regular stop here, or they can extend it out, try and see how long they can run on wet tyres. He's got in wet conditions because it will extend the stint. How long will it extend it, though? Because the Mustangs, remember, got 35 minutes as Buchanan is out ahead of John Trott. So Buchanan is out ahead of John Trott, battling away with him.
It was Brent Tucker?
Oh, it's Brent Tucker to the wrong side. Yeah, lap car. That's fine. So he's well ahead of John. So now, how long will the wet stop or wet stint be? Normally, if it's a regular fuel load for a GT3 car, dry running around about an hour, wet running about 90 minutes. So if we take that into consideration, they may be able to make, Scott, maybe 50 minutes of racing with this one stint of fuel on board the car, knowing that they're on limited fuel and they're going to be running in wet weather momentarily. As Tom Wilkinson has just copped a 20-second penalty for that incident with Isaac Curtis. And Pete, you mentioned you thought it might be a 5-second penalty.
Yeah,
Is it a bit harsh?
10. I'm surprised at 10. Look, I thought it was 5 from the initial sort of, from what I saw, and once I got through, I didn't think the gap between them after they finished was big enough to warrant 10. But look, at the end of the day, that's race control have got to make that call, and they do that consistently across all the things. So let's call it for what it is. And I thought the penalty was coming, even though we all talked about the redress and the sportsmanship of it. A little bit surprised it was 10. I thought it was going to be 5.
They might look at that one post race. There'll be a little bit of discussion on that one. We'll be talked about, I'm sure, into the future. But at the moment, he leads the race, and he leads the race by 18 seconds. So if he makes it home on fuel, well, it doesn't matter. James Mason's finally given up on that dry tyre too.
Well, so what the point I was about to make is, Scott, so if they can extend out now into this next stint for a longer stint, being that they're on wet tyres in wet conditions, say they can make 45 minutes. Wilkinson could do this on one more stop. If he can make another, what would it be, another 12 minutes, he could probably make it home on one more stop in this race and he'll be fine, where other drivers may have to come in and do one more.
Too far, Hamish. The longest extent I've got so far is 40. So
Okay.
I think that far that's a way too far to go.
Okay. Well, that is, it's still an opportunity. I mean, he's going to need a little splash if that is the case anyway, if he can do 40 minutes on this stint, but it's a wild scenario. We're yet to see a safety car as well, Scott, which has been a factor in the last few rounds. I can't believe we haven't actually seen one. I cannot believe we've not seen a safety car in that first hour of that race with the conditions that we had. The driving wasn't necessarily poor from the drivers. There's obviously been some penalties, but in that first hour to not get a safety car off of the weather conditions that we had, that's mind-boggling to me. It is mind-boggling. But with the wetter rain coming, and there's now some yellow showing on that radar as well, we may get a safety car now over the next 55 minutes as the dry tyre runners are finally coming in.
They've abandoned going on. We've seen the strategy C and saw Matt Webber's still on a dry tyre, and he is going to crawl into the pit lane. Such is the difficulty of actually pulling the car up. And that section of the racetrack, by the way, look at the puddles in the pit lane. Because there's no cars, remember, there's no cars running in the pit lane. There's no cars moving the water in this section of the racetrack either. So there's nothing to warm it up.
Well, this is,
James Mason went back out on fresh dry tyres.
Yeah. What?
That's a mistake.
Fresh dry. That is probably the biggest mistake I think I've ever seen someone. That's possibly one of the biggest mistakes I've seen someone do in terms of pit strategy there, Scott. And I have to wonder if he just forgot to swap to the wets on his black box. I have to wonder if that's the case, because surely there's no way he saw this track and thought, I'll stay on dries for the next stint. Surely there's no way. Like, this is a massive. Like, look at that! He can't even keep it up. Like that there, for James Mason, the heart has to go out to him. If that is a mistake from James, if that's a mistake from James, Scotty, the heart has to go out to him. If that was a selective choice, I don't know if we can have any pity on him if he chose to stay on the dries, seeing the weather like this. There's Greg Heaney on the inside there of Ruddle. He now gets through, and up under the bridge they go, under the old Motegi Oval Circuit. And as we head up towards P9 battle between Jacob Hughes, Packets himself, and Foster just ahead of him. And they battle here for P9 real estate on the road. Can Hughes get a good run on the Porsche ahead of him? It's Porsche versus Porsche battle. Hughes didn't have the run he wanted yesterday in a support category race in the Porsche Cup cars. He's having a much better run today in the Porsche GT3 992 entry here. P10 at the moment for Hughes as he battles for P9 with Foster. Pete, have you got some info for us? Because we've just seen James Mason come out of pit lane with dry tyres, and Stapleton's now in pit lane as well.
Absolutely. I was actually on board and having a chat with Brent Tucker down at the back end of the field. Struggling for the whole race, but he's essentially been on wets the whole race, just trying to essentially get the best result he can. Not having a thrilling result, but not super enthused. But yeah, we saw James Mason come out in front of him, come off in slips, and come back on the track. So a bit of interesting. I have no idea why James stayed on slicks. I think it's pretty clear to anybody and everybody. Maybe James doesn't have anybody as a spotter looking at the radar's going to know what it is, that it's got that little bit extra wet. So that's what happened. And Cyclone's Rankin is on the way in. So yeah.
Did you just say Cyclone Rankin, mate? I've been in this series for a very long time, thank you, and I will be hanging around to destroy the place before I'm done yet.
I don't know. Have a look at all the yellow on the radar, mate.
Oh, yep, here we go.
Well, Scotty might have wanted to cover the track in rain, maybe to ruin your top 5 favourite track, Pete. But he's actually given us an incredible race from it. I mean, it's been fantastic to see thus far.
Okay. The race
again, Scotty has not yet told me why he doesn't like the track, right? And this is my point. It's in one of my top 5s. I really enjoy racing. I really enjoy driving here. It gives us thrilling races. But everybody who says, "No, it's a shit track," cannot tell me why. So, over to you, boys, right?
Because it doesn't flow. The flow on it is stop, start, left, right. There's really generally very little overtaking, and it doesn't work all that well. Having said that,
back and race Indianapolis.
Scott, just because me and Pete have eclectic picks for favourite tracks out there, I mean, that's nothing wrong with us. I mean,
yeah. Can you get my manager on the phone? Yeah, the talent they make me work with in this series, I swear to God. Yes,
I'll just like Lanreca was coming.
Would you like to know that? Would you like to know that Long Beach is my second favourite track that's on iRacing behind the Red Bull Ring?
Quit. I'm done. I'm out of here.
I love Long Beach. Long Beach is amazing. It's my favourite street. It's my favourite proper street circuit in the world, just ahead of Adelaide. So I love Long Beach.
All right, Scotty. You and I just become teammates.
Oh, it's heating up, though. It is heating up, as we can see. Reddit and Wilkinson trying to battle away here with Naylor as well, further back in the field. Caposa's just gotten past him as well. So that's Tom Wilkinson. Race leader has gone through. Reddit and Naylor getting a bit of door-to-door action happening here as they fight for position in P19 on the road. Reddit's now gone through. Great opportunity for him to show his skills off in this race. But right now it is Tom Wilkinson in control with 50 minutes left to run. And this is starting to heat up, but Rue Koistra has got massive damage on the back of that McLaren. How is he hanging on to it? With Reardon on the outside. Rue Koistra comes through, takes the position for P15 on the road, and now looks to chase down Jacob Hughes, who's in pit lane, so it'll then become Kurt Chapman. Previously a Project 36, now into the privateer. That's Tom Wilkinson's into pit lane.
I think he's going to go back to the wet tyre here. And the issue is, have a look at where we are in terms of running time. About 35 minutes plus 35 minutes for the stint. So that gets us to an hour and 10 minutes. Perfectly bang on the dot. There was no way that he's going to make the end of the race on one more stop. He's going to have to come back in for a splash, but this will probably be the last of the tyres he throws in the car. 35 minutes from here gets us to 15 minutes from home. You wouldn't take a fresh tyres for 15 minutes unless they are dead.
Yeah, but if you're putting freshies on now, Scotty, then you're going to make them for an hour easy, particularly in the rain. So I think you're absolutely spot on. Yeah, you change tyres now and you leave them on for the rest of the race, particularly with the cyclone that we can see is coming.
I think if you're going to swap them, you're swapping them now. If you've got a strategist in your ear or a spotter in your ear, you may be thinking, well, could we maybe just split this to the end and try and just split the strategy a little bit, split the fuel load, maybe hope for a safety car or something, which we haven't seen thus far, but the weather is really turned here. It is a proper Japanese day out at Mobility Resort Motegi, and, well, it's a wondrous racing circuit, which has given us a wondrous spectacle. As we can see, Koistra battling away with Reardon in behind him as well. They've got Webber on their heels. But what a battle throughout the whole field we've had tonight, Scott. It's been a fantastic race, and the weather gods, well, they've been flicking the switch like a light switch on and off, and I'd hate to see the power bill after this one.
Well, the thing is, this track, for me, is only good for motorbikes, so at least the weather has made this one a lot more palatable for my liking.
Are you of a similar opinion of the Saxon Ring as Rue Koistra is into pit lane?
Goes into the pit lane. Nice decision from him. He'll get a fresh car here, fast repair, and that car will come back to life again. Okay, I lied before. Motegi's actually not all bad of a circuit. The oval's quite good.
You know that Pete's not here right now, so he didn't even get the chirp him by saying that. Oh, I don't mind. I think the big issue with Motegi is it is outshined by Suzuka and by Fuji. I think both of them are better than Motegi, but Motegi is a great track. But as we fight away, we're right on board with Jacob Hughes, who's just in behind Kurt Chapman. They've got Kaposa between them as well. So this battle started to heat up. And amongst the midfield at the moment, the top 10, well, they've spread out a little bit here. It's one of our closest, well, it's our closest battle on track is this one. And there are 4 cars in it: Hughes, Kaposa, Chapman, and they've got Dean Reddit right behind them as well. So there's a couple of Riot Sim Racing cars, the TriStar Racing entry of Kaposa, and the Privateer of Chapman, who's under pressure. Hughes is trying to go for it, caught some grass. Couldn't quite get the job done, but now he's up on the inside of Kaposa, and Hughes looks to go through, but he's missing the front end on that Porsche. The aero is affected on Jacob's car. He can't get the run around the outside, but can he get it done down here against the TriStar Racing Mustang? Inside line for Hughes, looks for the move, looks to get the slipstream off of Chapman. Job done for Hughes, and now it's time for his Sim Racing in Focus podcast host and teammate in Dean Reddit to make his way around the TriStar car as well.
John Akers has just had a moment as well, so that's the other one of the right cars that was out there and having a little bit of difficulty at that point in time. As for the rest of these boys, Jacob Hughes at the moment still trying to track down Kurt Chapman. A little bit of moving around on the racetrack as everyone looks for an opening. Capote's going to send it down the inside. He just barely gets the car pulled up with a little bit of contact with Jacob Hughes, and he dived to the inside to give him every potential opportunity to pull the car up. Reddit's trying to line up and have a go at Capozza now, and he will do the crisscross and look for a little bit of drive from the Porsche out on the main straight. Now look at the cars up ahead. They're side by side. Hughes got run out of the final corner. On the run down the main straightaway to the inside of Kurt Chapman, and Chapman finally says, all right, you've shown me enough. I'm good. I'll let you have that one.
It's an intensifying battle in this midfield. It's 2 Porsches against 2 Mustangs, 2 teammates versus 2 separated competitors, as the TriStar entry of Capozza wants an inside run on Chapman. Can he get the run and the push on his car on exit? He does. Gets the drive out of the corner, and Chapman is dropping positions here. Next up is Dean Reddit, who'll hope to get by him. He looks for an inside run at the next right-hand corner. He's not quite close enough to get up on him under brakes. He'll have to wait for another opportunity, maybe maximize corner exit, but some of these corners are looking like swimming pools. It is like glass. It is reflecting the sky off of the track surface. That is how wet it is out there. That's how much rain is out there. It is horrendous conditions right now for those who do not like wet tyre running.
Yeah, and at this point in time, if you've got a car that's not suited to these conditions, you are in a world of hurt, because I've got bad news. From here to the end of the race, with 45 minutes left on the clock, it only gets heavier. This is light compared to what's coming our way. So for the moment, you might not be having too much of a problem, but it's only going to get worse from here. To the outside now. They're going to try and line him up as Dean Reddit will get on the outside of the Mustang. The Porsche's got the engine over that rear axle, so traction should be one of its best attributes. It always has been. And now we're trying to put the power in. Mark Foster, I think, just got a black flag on pit lane entry as he makes his way to the pits. Will Buchanan, I think, just got given a slowdown penalty as well. I think Tom Wilkinson just cleared Will Buchanan for P2.
He did.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Will Buchanan just went for a monstrously wild ride because he touched a curb. He looked at a curb the wrong way and it said no.
He glared at it and it said get off. So this is Will Buchanan's moment that has allowed Tom Wilkinson back into P2. And with 3 minutes and 45 seconds till we get to 40. Oh my God, it was a wild ride for Buchanan though, wasn't it? Massive spin round. Now we are only 3.5 minutes away from the 40-minute marker, which was the furthest that Pete said we could go. Richard Mayer leads this race. He's done 1 pit stop. Can he make it to the 40-minute mark, come in, get the fuel on board, maybe change to some wet tyres, and get this car home on 1 more stop?
Geez, I'll tell you what, Hamish, if that happened, that'd be an absolute miracle. Look, I've just spent some time on board with Mark Foster, actually. Scotty, just as you're calling out his pit stop, Fozzie was really throwing up the dice about whether he changed and put a new set of wets on. He's been on wets from the start of the race, so he knew they'd been on the car for a bit over an hour. So he decided he did do a pit, and no, there was no black flag or pit infringement on the way into those pits. So Fozzie's fine. Come back out, and now currently running third in the Challenger class.
Well, what we're getting is enticing battles across the piece, changeable weather conditions, and we're only an hour and 18 minutes into this race. There's still 42 minutes to go, and the battles are continuing on.
Backwards just a few moments ago as well. As again, it's all on his own. Oh my word! Oh no, that was just after Will Buchanan. It was the same time as Will Buchanan went for his wild ride.
Okay.
He followed him into a mistake. Did we get the repeat? I don't think we've had the replay from Buchanan's wild ride.
We have.
At the moment.
We got Buchanan.
Sorry, my apologies. Yeah, we have. I've been looking everywhere at a few different bits and pieces. Sorry.
I mean, where do you look, Scotty? I mean, there is so much to look at, to look into, so many places across the board of this race that we can look at and try and pick apart what's been happening. And the one thing we can guarantee is we're going to be in for a wild end, as there's a huge set from Atkins. Tucker's now going to get by him. Couldn't get past Akers, so these drivers are having to go for sends here, but is there any point in a bit of sense in trying to hold off as we've got the battle between 11th and 12th? Jacob Hughes has gotten past Heaney here, so Packets is doing well just to fight his way back through the field. And I must say, from his from Jacob's blasé behaviour in my interview I had on the Sim Racing Focus podcast, didn't think he was actually going to be this quick coming into tonight, so it's great to see from Packets fighting away for position. But Coates and Gretsch battling too. McMenamin in behind the lap traffic, and they've got Reardon chasing them down in P10 as well.
Rich Mann might actually be able to make the end of the race. He's tight.
No, genuinely.
Well, the biggest thing that's in his favour is that the lap speed, we're back below 2 minute. Fastest lap on the most recent lap was Will Buchanan, 2:03.494. So we're back 2:03.204.
I think the problem now is though, Scott, so if we get into the scenario that we go a lap long or we go into overtime, that's where it's going to get a bit dicey for him. He doesn't need to save much fuel or save much lap time to get this car home. I think what he needs to do is get the car back in the lead once the next pit stops happen for Trott, Buchanan and Wilkinson. Save up the fuel once you're ahead, and then try and push on to the end and hope and pray that we don't go a lap longer than what's expected, as there is a car off just ahead of him. There was a lap traffic of Brant Tucker, who's just rejoining the circuit now, as Reardon and Gretsch are battling away here for real estate that, well, Matt Webber wants behind them. I always do that. Always get the M Webber confused with Mark. But Matt Webber, who is Matt Webber, who is lap traffic behind these guys, wants a piece of it. Wants a piece of the track that they've got. He's gotten past Gretsch now, but of course, blue flags may be a factor on Webber's machinery, and Gretsch will be looking to try and sneak back up the inside if he can get him. But it is intensifying across the field. Drivers are into the real tiptoe scenario now, this wet weather, and as you said, Scott, it's only going to get worse. Well, the rain is coming even worse. It's gotten worse to this point as well, but it is. I'm watching some of these racing lines, Scott, and you'll see come out of the corner, and even under brakes, the tyres will almost create their own sort of slick, wet line as they come out. It's a different form of shiny compared to the puddling that is happening on the road surface. It is super, super wet out there. It's only going to get wetter. But I agree. I think Richard Mayer may have lucked his way possibly into a two-stop strategy race that could take him to a race win tonight.
Have a look. So the big thing is at the bottom end of that tower. See the weather information's been added to the right-hand side of your screen. The two things at the bottom. The second last item is moderately wet. That is a recommendation of what the track temperature, and that comes directly from the sim. So that's the sim basically telling us exactly what the track is like at this point in time. The number below it is rain intensity. That started when the rain first came down. We were 1 to 3%, which is why we could keep the dry tyres on. Then we got 10%. Then you had to take the slick tyres off with 3 times the rain intensity from when it first had to go back to a wet tyre. It is properly wet at this point in time. For everyone out there who's just joined into us tonight, hello and welcome. Premier Endurance League, 2 hour worth of GT3 racing. This, the Limited Series. If you're looking to make your way into GT3 racing, the Limited Series is for you. What's the reason for that? We don't allow the aliens into this one. We don't let the biggest, fastest guys in. We make them sit in race control. We make them sit in commentary boxes. then again, I've taken a look around the commentary box. There's no aliens in here. Trust me, we know. But we have a lot of fun with it, and it's all about getting out there and getting amongst it and challenging yourself against guys of your own sort of skill level. The Open Series is where we let the big boys go out and have a crack at them. But if you're interested in everything that the channel offers at this point in time, give us a like, give us a follow, and we'll see you again for the next round. We are racing every Sunday night for the next 4 weeks, including tonight. There's 3 more rounds left to come in total. 1 more round after tonight for the limited series. 2 rounds left for the Open Series. That'll carry us through to the 14th of December. And finally, great opportunity to shout out all the sponsors that make it possible. Dash Off-Road is the primary sponsor for the limited championship here tonight. And Sud Speed, I want to say a big shout out to Sud Speed as well. They're on the safety car as the sponsor. They sponsor the gloves and the replays as well. Also the Kiwi Graphics and Sim Racing and Focus. So ladies and gentlemen, the sponsors make sure that we can pay the bills to keep everyone operating here and keep the lights on. And big shout out to everyone that's doing not too bad here in this one here tonight. This is a challenging track, and it's only getting more difficult by the moment.
Well, every moment that goes by, every lap that goes by, the track is becoming more and more difficult. We mentioned the precipitation levels and the level of how heavy the rain is getting. It's only going to get worse across the next 36 minutes, and it's only going to favour those. Look, it's already jumping up towards 30%. So it's only going to get worse and worse now throughout the rest of this race. We are on the edge of the yellow that is on our radar. It could get up possibly, Scotty, as high as 50% in terms of rain intensity around this circuit. It is going to get super, super wet out there. It's going to get super slick. It's going to be super tight running for those drivers who are out there at the moment. But what I think we can confirm is it's a 1 stop left in this race. And for Richard Mayer, he is the effective race leader at this point, sitting up at the moment P4, but Trott, Buchanan, Wilkinson, they all need a stop to make their cars to get home.
We're running at the back end of this one, Pete. Right now, I'd like to bring Pete back to the back end of this one. And the reason for that is, mate, this is challenging conditions. It's all about survival. It's all about keeping yourself going at this point in time. There's a lot of challenges. Talk to me about the challenges of a wet racetrack that's getting wetter and sapping confidence from the drivers.
Well, all you got to do, you just got to stay off the painted line, Scotty, and stay on the bitumen. Essentially, you get to a point, and you know that I should be in the limited class, not even the, not this one. I'm on the one lower, but you get into a race like this, and you're more concentrating on being able to keep the car on track versus racing and overtaking people, because the first thing you got to do is still get to the finish line as fast as you can. You can touch a wet line, as we've seen with Greg Heaney there, a little bit of a touch of a wet line, and you're into trouble. If you just if you can stay on the bitumen, and the racing line is not the fastest line in these conditions, you kind of got to go off apex. You've got to sit outside the apex where the surface of the bitumen might be a little bit rougher. And as somebody who is really terrible at hitting apexes, that makes rain racing pretty cool for me. But I need to practice it a lot to stay off the apexes. But anyway, Scotty, we've done some rain races together. You know what it's like. It ain't easy.
Mate, it's funny you say that, because I was talking to Tom Wilkinson about this one throughout the week, and he said exactly the same thing. Oh, far out. Well, at this point in time, Richard Mayer is trying to hang on to a spot, but the big thing is he may not have to make one more pit stop for Richard Mayer at this point in time. He is currently on that track just ahead of Isaac Curtis. It's 6 seconds in the rearview mirror to Trent Stapleton from Richard Mayer. So he's got a little bit of time. And again, I reckon Rich is trying to fuel save, because that's the thing he's done all season, is it? Do something different. Jump on the alternative strategy, and it's a lot easier to grab it when you've got a pair of Sud Speed gloves on, which Rich helps service the community with, by the way.
He does indeed.
How's that?
And I suppose the only unfortunate thing we haven't seen tonight, Scotty, but I think it's also been fortunate that we've had such a long green run. Haven't seen an appearance from the Sud Speed safety car tonight either, which has been a real factor in the last few races that we've had in the series too. So, but Rich is doing every effort he can right now to try and take home a race win, not only for Sud Speed, but for Chevrolet and the Corvette community out there as well. And, well, for Tom Wilkinson, who claimed he was in the wrong car, Scotty, doesn't look too bad at the moment.
for now. But the car he had selected, there's a car around in turn 1. I think it's Ronald Long. It's Kurt Chapman. It's Kurt Chapman around in turn 1. He had a wild odd ride. He's actually back and rolling again at this point in time, so it should be okay for him. This is Challenger class at this point in time. This is on track. Adrian Gretsch has the lead of the Challengers, but he only has it just at this point in time for Gretschy.
This is on. This is on between them. Heaney is hot on the heels of Gretsch, putting maximum pressure on him. They've got plenty of gap back to Foster in P3, so this is a great one-on-one battle for the race lead in the Challenger class with 32 minutes to go. It is Mercedes versus Aston Martin. It's front engine versus rear engine. It's one of the oldest GT cars in the field versus the newest GT car in the field. It's main event level stuff in the wettest of conditions, in the slickest of conditions, and it's going to take slip driving to try and get themselves to a benefactory position, to get themselves to the lead of the Challenger class as well. They're just outside of the top 10, but it doesn't matter to them. What matters to them is a Challenger class win, as it's a wild run under brakes for Heaney. Just pulls it up, somehow keeps it out of the sand trap, and somehow keeps it out of the back of the Mercedes AMG just ahead of him, of Gretsch, but he's into pit lane now.
Who's in the dust? You see
someone's
that?
out there. Yeah. So someone's in the dust there. They've tried to come into pit lane, and I think they've actually missed.
I reckon it's Luke Capozza. I think it might have been Luke Capozza. Yeah, it was. In fact, it was Luke Capozza. It was just ahead of those guys. So
I have got no idea, Scotty, how Greg Heaney missed the back of that Merc. Buchanan is coming into his own on the back of Wilkinson. Battle for the race lead, but really, on corrected order, it's battle for P2. With Richard Mayer possibly not needing another stop in this race, it is Wilkinson and Buchanan battling for P2 real estate. But if Buchanan knows that Wilkinson has got a penalty here, Scott, he doesn't necessarily have to get past Tom to claim P2 here tonight. He could finish right behind him, and he would still claim P2 from Wilkinson with that 10-second penalty hanging over his head.
The big thing is, though, I reckon Will Buchanan's probably about 3 or 4 laps away from a pit stop. And I reckon that pit stop is where he jumps in. That puts us into, we were half an hour to go in this race from here. We're 44 laps in the book, but the pace is continuing to drop off. 2:05 for our race leader on that last lap, as he tries to make some speed. And for now, for Wilkinson, by the way, compared to, remember our fastest lap of the night was a 56. And I want to say it was James Mason that said it.
I believe it was, yeah. Oh, Allen's got it. Trent Allen's got the fastest lap, 56.54. Trent Allen set, which was, of course, on that dry tyre run earlier on, Scotty. So we're a little world away from that. We're about 10 seconds slower, which we know roughly wet tyres about 10 seconds slower. That then often equates to half an hour longer on a regular GT stint in wet conditions. But with traffic up the road from them, Scotty, that could have a part to play if Buchanan and Wilkinson go for the next 3 or so laps before they pit.
Well, it's getting worse. It's getting heavier. So, well, yep. It's actually it's slowed down. It hasn't actually gotten all that much worse to this point. But yeah, it's sort of stops. And there's a little bit of a moment. That finally is going to be a change. I think the Challenger class lead. Trent Naylor in car 313 just jumped on the mic, and might have been him.
I think it was Naylor, because that was Naylor, I believe, battling away with Gretsch.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Ronald Long that got into it.
So, Ronald Long. Okay, so yeah, they were battling away. So, Naylor wasn't happy with this. This will give us some answers why. So, the Mercs go for the dot thing. Well, I mean, he can get over the Michael he wants, but the Mercs alongside him there, Scotty.
I think it only got nosed in very, very late, and will be the turning point.
Yeah. Well, it's, he's over the radio for it, but I mean, if you no longer go for the move, well, what do you expect? He's just going to sit behind you the whole time? I mean, That's not racing, is it? But Wilkinson and Buchanan continue to battle away, and Buchanan has had the pace over the Corvette over the last 5 laps of this race. We are under half an hour to go. 27 minutes and change left on the clock. Is it going to be between these two, or can Richard Mayer get his car home on the fuel load that he has on board? It is an intriguing prospect of what could come, remembering that Wilkinson went to lap 34 on his last stint. Oh, it could be tight, but I think he'll still need a splash. But will he be close to Mayer after the pit stops? Time will tell.
Just watching, so Richard Mayer has run 2 19-lap stints in a row, by the way.
Yep.
And that means he can go another 13 from here. And you know what? That lines up just about perfectly. The problem is the cars ahead of him only got a splash. Pit lane transition time here, because of, it's actually one of the lower yields in terms of gains. So it's actually a really, really short delta here because there's a chicane right before the pit lane entry. So you're really slow at that sector. And then you put the power on, but by then it's too late. You've lost all that time, you lost all the gain. And actually going to the pit lane, you can carry a little bit more speed into that final chicane. So the delta's not realistically all that high. I think Richard Mayer might actually be a fraction quick ahead of where they are right now if they were to pit. It's just a fraction. There's going to be a challenge there's a challenge on the racetrack for the race.
Yep, he's taken it from him. What I think though, Scotty, if these guys continue to battle, that's going to be a big factor in determining what sort of gap Mayer has over them. Because if Wilkinson keeps on going at Buchanan here and trying to get back past, this is only going to help Mayer build gap now on the road behind them because he's in clear traffic at the moment.
Cars are starting to cycle in and out of pit lane. Trent Allen's gotten in. Pete's got an update for us.
Yeah, boys, the AITT boys, they're all about to come in for their last pit stop, but they were tracking Richard Mayer, and in their mind, they think that he's been fuel saving the whole race, and they've got the same sort of thought we have for Richard Mayer, that he is on his way to the end of the race without another pit stop. So everybody else is racing other than that. Expect the AITT boys to come in within the next couple of laps. They're all about out of juice, but it's going to be their last run to the end. But yeah, they're all in race, hating the rain, but enjoying the race, I guess.
I think there's a few calculators getting frazzled up and down pit lane at this point in time. I'm just thinking, the problem is, with the time that we've got left here and the lap speed fall off, how much fuel do you add to the car?
That's it. You know, how much do you add? What sort of lap time drop-off is there going to be when the rain gets that little bit heavier again? Are you going to end up being in the maybe upwards of the 206s or even into the 207s? Do you add a little bit less? I think you've got to base your fuel on what you know. Scotty, you've got to base your fuel on what does the current fuel number say to you. It's not going to get any drier. We know that. It's not going to dry out. It's only going to get wetter from here. And I don't know if there's any point in trying to risk putting less fuel in the car as Buchanan is in pit lanes. So Richard Mayer has just come around the old start-finish straight and is coming up towards the final sector of the circuit. So where is he going to be in comparison to Buchanan and Trott, who are both in pit lane? So he should be ahead of Trott here, Scotty. Where is he going to be in comparison to Buchanan, who's just gotten into the box? So final chicane action now for Richard Mayer is going to streamline this car past pit lane. Buchanan has just dropped now. He's coming out of pit lane, but Mayer is at full pace. This is going to be so close on the exit, and Buchanan is ahead. Buchanan is ahead of Mayer, so the fuel save has helped him get this race done in 2 stops, but it hasn't helped him on the timesheet because Buchanan's been able to push on, and that BMW has seemed untouchable all day, barring the one mistake he made that dropped him into the sand trap.
Yeah, well, now he's got pressed on and challenge, and hopefully it makes them all. Go ahead, Pete.
This is the luxury that Will Buchanan may have, is that as they know, Richard Mayer's been fuel saving all the time, whereas Will's had the chance just to put enough fuel in, he can go hard, so he doesn't need the fuel save. So advantage Will.
It has counteracted the fuel save run, probably gone through the way of the pit entry, as you mentioned before, Scotty. It's less of a pit lane loss as what would be for another circuit out there, say similarly to say Fuji or Suzuka here in Japan. We've got a black flag coming for Patrick Reardon, who's just come into pit lane. So I'd argue it's either a speeding in pits or an unsafe entry. So that there's going to ruin his race and drop him to the back of the field with only 22 minutes and change left to run. But Mayer at the moment, P4. Wilkinson, Scotty, could end up P2 here behind Buchanan. And Mayer may be in P3, up 6 positions after this next pit stop.
It's going to be tricky. I actually think what Richard Mayer's doing is actually admirable in terms of what he's been able to say at this point. Gretsch versus Foster now for the Challenger class lead. Those guys are looking at the back end of the top 10. And Foz is 2 seconds behind, but was
Curtis is a
second quicker on that most recent lap. Here comes Curtis to the lane. So we'll get that one done. Well, I reckon Fozzie's actually on for a class victory tonight. You know, he's got a challenge for it.
He will. I think he'll for certain challenge it against Gretsch. Mayer now comes past, of course, Isaac Curtis up into P3, and I think that may be where he stays. John Trott looks like he's actually going to get past as well, past Curtis. So Curtis has dropped here back behind John Trott. So the question now is, after a little bit of traffic management from Tom Wilkinson, how much time has he now given up to Buchanan here, Scott? Because Tom won't be too far away from a pit stop. He'll be able to take less fuel, though, in the next stop, but it's going to be an intriguing battle to the end.
Yeah, and now we know what the strategy marker looks like. Look at Wilkinson. He is struggling in the wet to really put that power down now. Where it was comfortable earlier almost, it was mild to moderately wet, and he was sort of on the right tyre for the conditions. Now he's really struggling. Worthwhile pointing out, remember, at one point in the race, he had a 25 second lead. Such was the tyre advantage. He was just able to scupper it down the road and see if he could do something on those tyres. But as the race has come back to him, the dry tyres kicked in. It was run down by Will Buchanan. How sick was that to watch, that challenge? Isaac Curtis as well. How long he sat there and waited, and patience from him, waiting for Wilkinson to make a mistake, and then Wilkinson repaid it in terms of the sportsmanship as well. Still copped a penalty for it, but at the end of the day, gave back the time. That's what it's all about. It's the way I like to look at it is try and keep race control out of it. Not just from making contact, but when you do make the mistake, give it back anyway, and then carry on having a race, because at least that way at the end of the race you can jump in, you can say apologies, made a mistake. At the end of the day, we're all out there. This series is designed about the entry-level racer, right? It's not about the biggest and the brightest and the best. We're talking about the guys at the front that are having a great day of it. But what about all the guys in the mid-pack? Kurt Chapman, we've seen have a troubled night. Have a look at the number of cars that are left on the lead lap. Brad Coates is 12th and off the lead lap.
So, Scotty, I was going to talk about that. Look, I just got back from having a chat with Paddy Reardon. He got his black flag, couldn't see the pit entry properly, just cut it a little bit too much, and heads black flag, so be it. His head's up, he's got, right, Pete, we're just going to go to the end. That's cool, it's a good race. But what I'm looking at is, you just mentioned how many people are already a lap down. What I'm looking at is that Adrian Gretsch, Mark Foster and Matty Becker, P1, 2 and 3 in the Challenger class, they are 10 to 15 seconds in front of Tommy Wilkinson right now. So potentially in the last sort of 5 minutes of this race, obviously Tommy's got a pit, but potentially we might have the Challenger class battle going on whilst they're getting lapped by the Elite class.
Well, that's what we get when we've gone green the whole way. I don't think we've actually had that happen this season, have we, Pete? Where the Challenger classes or the Challenger class winners have gone a lap down on the Elite class race winner to this point.
No, not to this. Certainly not to this extent.
No. So it's a great run though from those front runners of the field, but how far back will it all fall for them as we ride on board with Bekir, who battles away with Foster and Gretsch ahead. So Challenger class battle is underway. Tom Wilkinson has just entered the final chicane, so that's the gap between them. These guys are just coming up down the main straight, and Wilkinson has just entered the main straight now, so that's the initial gap between them. They should all be pitting roughly at the same time as Wilkinson though, Scott, because Wilkinson came in on lap 34, the Q was in on 34, Foss was in on 36 and Gretsch was in on 34, so they should all be through pit lane around about the same time.
Yeah. So how far can we actually go is now the next thing. By speed, how far can Richard Mayer go? Is he going to make the end of the race? At this point in time, he's lost about 3 seconds, I reckon, to Will Buchanan since he came back out. So he is losing a little bit of time. Finally, Stapleton will yield and come to the pit lane. So Mayer moves onto the podium if he can make the end of the race. And with the lap times continuing to degrade, track rain percent has turned up to 35%. So now you're going to see these times continue to degrade for the rest of the race. It's now just on.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just about to say, Scotty, they're about to get probably a lot, or not a lot slower, but a little bit slower because we are getting into the bulk yellow portion of that radar that we've been speaking about. So we are coming up on the real heavy rain that we've been anticipating to this point. The heaviness of the rain is continuing to rise to this stage of the race as well. So it is an enthralling end to this race with less than 20 minutes to go now. We've got 17 minutes left of running. This is going to be as tasty as we could possibly ask for.
There's nothing left of this one. 16 minutes. When does Wilkinson pit? I reckon he's still 5 minutes away from pitting, you know. And the reason I'll say that is that pace has dropped off so significantly that that 35-minute stint goes from being 35 minutes out to a bit close to 38.
Well, even maybe nearly out to 40, as Pete pointed out to us earlier. So if he's maybe trying to fuel save or just extend this as long as possible, there is the option that he goes about 40 minutes, roughly 19 laps. That would take him out to lap 53. We're currently on lap 51, so he's probably got maybe 1 or 2 more laps left in this thing to get that car into pit lane once again, and then the final run home, which the fuel margin is going to be incredibly difficult to determine, and I know he's got a spotter with him, and the mathematics skills of whoever it may be is going to be on full display to see where Wilkinson comes out of pit lane.
And now, I think it was Matthew Bakir we're just watching on board with. And he's going to miss the braking marker. No, he made it. You know what? He absolutely dialed that into perfection. And Fozzie goes from thinking, I've got this locked down, we're in a really, really good spot here, to all of a sudden, Bakir is in front of him and in the middle. So Fozzie, now on the back foot, moves to second place in the Challenger class as Matthew Bakir. First, second, and third on the road right together. Nothing between them.
Yep, there's nothing separating them at this point, and the determining factor is, well, who's going to get the pit stop right? Who's going to get the fuel level right? Will they overextend themselves? Will they mistakenly forget to untick tyres when they come into pit lane as well? If they take tyres at this stage, that'll be nail in the coffin stuff. They'll be out of it. They'll be done. There's no way they can make it back to the position that they are if they get caught up in pit lane for too long. It has been intensity personified all throughout the procedure of this race out at Mobility Resort Motegi. And you can see from the spray the sort of pressures they're under. And what can you see? I mean, it's all you can see right now is spray. You can barely see the rain line on the back of these cars. But when do they come into pit road? That is the question on our lips right now. And Gretsch is in. And we saw then Bakir thought about coming in, Scotty, but he saw that Gretsch was in. So he wants to take advantage of having no spray in front of him as Tom Wilkinson's into pit lane.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Visibility. And the other benefit of this is if he makes the overcut right here, he doesn't have to overtake him on track. That's the big gain. Wilkinson, this will be a splash and go. There is 14 minutes of this race left. Where is Will Buchanan? Where is he going to come on through? Is he going to pop out the other side with the race lead on track? Because remember, it's going to be a shorter stop for car number 25.
He's leaving pit lane now.
He's rolling.
Tom's leaving now. Tom's going to have him. He's going to be ahead. But, oh, actually, this is going to be tight. There he is. Oh, my God. Wilkinson has just got him.
You get it? He got it. He's out the other side.
Yeah,
he's managed to pull it up. He's managed to arc his way through the corner, and Buchanan's now going to sit in Tom Wilkinson's spray once more. Richard Mayer is 7 seconds behind this pair. at this point in time. Wilkinson has a 10-second penalty. He's got to find 3 seconds in 13 minutes to make his way into P2. He's not going to find him on Will Buchanan unless Will Buchanan makes a mistake. So now he's got to force him into that. He's got to try and hang on to it. He'll cross the line in the lead right now, barring any further battling out on track. And for a Chevy, it has a lot of problems firing its tyres up. That's what we're getting in the next update, by the way, from iRacing. They're updating the Chevy's tyre warm-up phase. It should fire its tyres up a lot quicker. Right now, every other car fires them up in 2, maybe 3 laps. The Chevy takes about 5 or 6. That's the reason it's getting an update. That's the reason you haven't seen a lot from the Chevy this year in terms of GT3's post-tyre update, is because there's just nothing underneath it for the longest time. Once they're up, they're great. You hang on to them for forever and you keep getting faster and faster, but the rest of the cars don't. So expect to see this car become back in vogue, but it'll take some time. And for the meantime, it's the guys that are driving the oft-forgotten cars, the manufacturers, that are doing well on a wet circuit.
Hey guys, and have a look at who's just in front, about 3 seconds in front of Tom Wilkinson. That's Adrian Gretsch. He was previously leading the Challenger class. Mark Fosser and Matty Vercoeur are still yet to do their pit stops. Fozzie was about 3 seconds behind Adrian Gretsch. So by my calculations, when Fozzie comes out of his pit stop, he's going to come out right in the middle of this battle between Tom Wilkinson and Will Buchanan.
Oh, it's an enthralling prospect to come, and what an interesting year 2026 could be. You think about official special events. How could that now change the 24 Hours of Daytona? How could it change the Sebring 12 Hour? How could it change Premier Endurance League into 2026 as well when the tyres are fixed on the Corvette? Will it be back to dominant form, or will it still be squirreling in the back end as Wilkinson and Buchanan battle for race lead positioning on the road? But Buchanan is the corrected race leader, and with Gretsch ahead of them in the Challenger class as well. There could be some sound strategy here, Scott, if Foster and Bakir know that they could get lapped by the race leader, they could make the strategy call to put 1 lap less of fuel in the car to try and jump Gretsch in the next pit stop.
Technically, kind of, sort of, maybe, but at the moment, Tom Wilkinson's just going to go straight around the outside of Adrian Gretsch, so they're all going to get thrown a lap down. They're all going to have to do the same amount of laps relative to where they are, so kind of, sort of, not really. You know what you're trying to say. Effectively, that doesn't work out because it's relative. They're going to do the same number of laps based upon relatively where they end up on the racetrack. So yeah. Wilkinson's cleared Gretsch, as is now Buchanan. So, yeah, I get what you're after. You have to add the extra fuel. But actually, you don't have to, because when you'll cross that line is a little bit different as well.
It's true, but thinking about the fact that Wilkinson will be just ahead of them, he will go a lap, technically, in relative terms, he's going a lap longer than them for the fuel that he had to put in the car. So, in my mind, thinking that he's going to be doing 1 more lap than they will be relative to their position. For me, it works in my brain that they could put 1 lap less in as Bakir's in. So he is into pit lane. Gretsch is not even at the exit of the chicane yet. So Bakir's trying to overcut Adrian Gretsch, and he's trying to undercut Mark Foster to stay ahead of him in the next stop. As Wilkinson now comes down the main straight, Gretsch has entered the main straight as well, as Bakir is just exiting pit lane. So he is out and he's ahead of Gretsch, and he's out and he's now just in behind the race leader. And this is where traffic could have a part to play here, Scott. Now, I don't think Buchanan's going to drop 10 seconds, but from Wilkinson back to Mayer, it's now 10.6 seconds is the gap from P1 to P3.
Yeah, so now this is... Wilkinson's got to just rely on a little bit of clear road. Buchanan's still not cleared James Mason as a heads up. He's still caught up and behind him. And this is a change between... Was that Bakir ahead of Gretsch? Or did they swap positions again? No, they did swap positions again. So Gretsch is throwing fresh wet tyres on. He's got no grip at the moment. Look at the struggle street he's on.
No, boys, I just jumped out. That was merely a adjustment to allow the leaders of the race to go through, and then Matty and Adrian can settle in. They do know they're still racing Mark Foster, though. They know that Mark Foster's got to come in for another pit stop, but essentially that was just Matty Bakir lifting so that P1 and P2 could go through, and then I think he lifted a little bit too much, and Adrian said, no, stay in front, mate, you're there.
we can see that Mark Foster, who's gone a little bit longer than the cars behind him, Rue Koistra are battling, trying to chase down Kurt Chapman. He's got that car fixed up, right in behind Kurt at the moment. I'm trying to watch out here for Mark Foster if he comes into pit lane. I don't think he has. I think he's stayed out. He has stayed out, so he's gone a lap longer again, but I think he may have to come in this lap by Scotty for Mark, and where he ends up comparatively to Gretchen Bakir, well, that may have something to do with the traffic is running it wide as John Akers just before the bridge. So Akers will have to try and get that car back on the road, but he is struggling out there in the sand pit.
Tom Wilkinson's got around.
Oh, Wilkinson. He has at the final corner. Oh my God. Tom Wilkinson has gone round. Buchanan's now come past. Mayer is now corrected P3 ahead of Tom Wilkinson. But he is just stuck behind some traffic with Wilkinson trying to defend here against the Challenger class cars behind him. Oh my God.
Now, don't forget Challenger class cars, they're a lap down, so Tom doesn't necessarily have to defend them. He won't get flags for them, but he should have them as blue on his relative. So they're on different laps and different stretches.
Yes. So Wilkinson is now corrected P4 because John Trott is now within 10 seconds of the back of him from that mistake there, Scott. So this is an unfortunate mistake for Tom, which could take him off the podium. This is what happened to him at the final corner. He ran it slightly wide, a little bit too much gas, and around it went, and across the chicane. And it's heartbreak for all but Drop Bear Motorsport, and it's heartbreak for Tom Wilkinson.
Yeah, just put it in the wrong place. I think he touched the wet line, and it just got away from him. So, final moments of this one. 6 minutes left on the clock. As the rain, look at the intensity of it. It's gotten way heavy. I just looked at the numbers. That rain intensity's gone up another level.
It's continuing to go up. It's now above 40%, Scott. I mean, this is like we are in the sea at the moment. We are racing in the sea. And those sand traps are the beach to the sea that is Mobility Resort Motegi, as sliding the rears then was Isaac Curtis, currently P5 or P6 on the road, sorry. So, but this is probably some of the worst wet conditions I've seen for a long while, Scott. This is proper wet racing.
Yeah, it's getting more and more challenging. So survival. Will Buchanan, think about the nerves for him at the moment and where he sits in terms of the championship. This is a great opportunity for him to stick a whole bunch of points on the board. For all the championship hopefuls, Buchanan is 135 away from Isaac Curtis. Well, Curtis is 6th at the moment. He's going to score a whole bank of points. Look at the water on the racetrack. Look at the puddles. It just continues to fall in torrential spurts at the moment. If I'm getting a cyclone named after me, well, with the weather at the moment, you know what? I'll take this one.
This is just it is ridiculous how wet it is. It's ridiculous how tough it is for these drivers out there. The spray that's coming off the cars, the glassy look of the circuit from how wet the surface of the tarmac is. We have got 4 minutes left to run at Mobility Resort Motegi. Not long left now for Will Buchanan, 4.1 seconds ahead of Tom Wilkinson, who's now under threat of dropping off of the podium with John Trott looming in the background. And this has gone to an absolute maximum level of pressure for those drivers out there. Yep, Greg Heaney's now around.
My apology, James Mason. My apologies. It was in the same section of the racetrack. It was James Mason.
Mark Foster's in. Mark Foster's in pit lane, Scotty. So this is now crunch time for the pit crew and for the strategists to have gotten this absolutely nailed for Mark Foster.
Well, for now, has he got a longer pit stop? No. Out of the pit lane, he will come. We'll see if he's actually able to make that spot and come back out ahead. Here comes
He's well ahead.
Yeah, Fozzie's in a great spot in this one.
He is so far ahead. It's a 6-second stop. And Becare's off. Becare's off at the final corner. Matt Becare is off the road. And Mark Foster has done a 6.6 second stop and has got well ahead of Adrian Gretsch. And he's right ahead of the race leader in Will Buchanan.
Remember, Gretsch's fighting for a championship here, so he's just thinking survival. At this point in time, let me walk you through the challenger standings. Gretsch leads Ben Brook by 45 points. Brook's not here tonight. Kurt Chapman, 110 points. Well, he's outscoring him tonight. Greg Heaney, 143 points behind. He's outscoring him. If Fozzie wins it, Fozzie's going to make up 173 points between now and the end of the season. There's 2 races left. One of those is tonight. He's not going to make up that much. He'll take something out of it, but it's not going to be enough. So that's worthwhile thinking about. Down the inside, change for position between Curtis and Stapleton. Curtis gets the spot taken away. I think the real tough moment of the race at this point in time is everyone is struggling. Everyone.
Not only that, Stefan Mellis has put his car and backed it into the wall. He's currently parked up on the grass as well, Scott. So Struggle Street has arrived. A lot of drivers are struggling in these conditions, including James Mason. There's no safety car that'll get called, of course. But just want to shout out the fact that this is now the proper struggle time of this race at this circuit tonight. We've got Fuji coming up in a few weeks' time on the 14th of December. It's the final time we'll be going racing in the Dash Off-Road GT3 Limited Series for 2025. What more can it offer us up? If it's wet running again at Fuji, that is going to be something to sink your teeth into. So if you're joining us for the first time tonight, if you've been here for the whole broadcast, or you've just arrived to the broadcast, if you've been here for a while, you haven't done so already, hit the like button and subscribe to the bell icon too, because it is a massive 3 weeks coming up, Scott, across the next 2 rounds of the Open Series. Next time out, we're right back here at Mobility Resort Motegi. Week after, we're out at Fuji for the Open Series, and the week after that, December 14, we're there for the Limited Series as well. This is as intense as it gets. It's the best time to be a sports car racing fan on iRacing, because we've got so much to come in 2026 through officials, through leagues. This is the time to be a sports car racing fan, and what more could you want, Scotty, when you've had a race like this?
Richard Mayer had some sort of issue.
Yeah. Oh my God, no, the rear of his car is completely destroyed. The rear of Richard's car is
same place that
completely destroyed. Yeah. So, we are white flags, Scotty. This is, I mean, this is a gobsmacking race all throughout. And for Will Buchanan, he is half a lap away from a fantastic victory in the elite class this evening. For Mark Foster, he's half a lap away from an incredible victory in the challenger class as well.
Richard Mayer's fallen off the podium, by the way, and he's about to fall off the racetrack at turn 1. John Trott skated through. Wow, just wow. This race has had a whole bunch of different twists and turns. Will Buchanan, final lap of the day. He's going to navigate the hairpin at turn 10. Then there's the right-hander before you go underneath the oval. Then it's the chicane. That's it. That's all that's left to him. Couple more turns for Will Buchanan. He wasn't all that quick to start on the race, but he found some speed on that dry tyre. Then he was one of the quickest cars on the racetrack for a long period of time. He skated away down the road. And in a race that has had torrential downpour, that's had guys on slicks manage to keep it on the island when they probably shouldn't have. Guys on wets making all the advantage, then having to pay with an overheated wet tyre. You would have thought for sure tonight that the Sud Speed safety car would have made an appearance, but it did not. And in the GT3 Limited Series, proudly brought to you by Dash Off-Road, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's winner, Will Buchanan, puts on a masterclass, and I tell you what, the 4x4 centre might want to give him a call, because those treacherous conditions needed skills that might have been better somewhere out in the bush.
It was treacherous conditions. John Trott has crossed the line P3. Tom Wilkinson came home P2, but there will be a change of position due to the penalty. Actually, will there be? There's 11. Oh no, it's 11.71 seconds. So Wilkinson's actually going to hold on to P2. Trott is going to be P3. Mayer's going to come home P4. I'm hoping we can actually see a replay of Mayer's incident post-race, because it was a wild one. I've looked back on it myself. It was a wild incident, Scott. I think one that we need to highlight as well. And then we, of course, have got Mark Foster, who has come home P1 for the Challenger class. And what was an incredible race, the wettest of conditions, Scotty. It has dumped water on the road. So it's a two-parter. So he loses the rear end at the second to last corner. Round it goes, i.e. similar to Tom Wilkinson. In fact, a mirror image of it, in fact. But it's a two-part because he hasn't actually lost the rear end yet of that car. He rejoins, and then bang, straight in the back of him comes one of the McLarens. So it's a heavy incident, heavy moment. There may be a penalty coming because of the rejoin. There is one, actually, 15-second time penalty for the rejoin. And what a race it was. Pete, what a race, wettest of conditions, one of your favourite tracks in the world. Did it live up to every single expectation of yours?
Absolutely, mate. That was one of the best races I've had in PL. What do I say? If you want to have a great race, just add water. What I really enjoyed about this was the Challenger class sort of ending up at the same place as the Elite class, albeit a lap apart. I thought that created a nice little bit of complexity. There was really, all the way up and down the field, everybody I talked to for the first hour until the start of Cyclone Rankin came in, everybody was debating whether they were on the right tyres or not, regardless of the pit time, the times they were on. And then, here we go. We got to the end of the race, and we've still got a couple of penalties there at the end that will change the order slightly. But fabulous to be here, and good to see Fozzie get up there for a change in Challenger class. Sad to see he wasn't driving in a lime green car.
A solid performance from all around, including Buchanan and Foster as well. We're just waiting for the final few cars to finish racing. We're waiting for a couple here so we can get our results up on screen for you when they are available. Scotty, what a race it was. It was as wet as we've ever seen it, and what an impressive victory for Will Buchanan.
Yeah, I don't know how impressive the victory is going to be after he just backed it on the fence trying to celebrate. Mate, that's a Jamie Whincup style move back at Tasmania years gone by. You're in trouble because now you got to pay for the rear end of that thing. So,
we unfortunately we can't show the results for you tonight, but we can definitely walk you through them. Will Buchanan takes home the victory at Mobility Resort Motegi here tonight ahead of Tom Wilkinson and John Trott on the GT3 Elite Class podium. Richard Mayer home in P4, but he'll get a 15-second penalty. That'll promote Isaac Curtis into the top 4 and Trent Stapleton into the top 5. Trent Allen then finishes out of P7 ahead of Jacob Hughes. Brad Coates and Dean Reddard who made up our top 10 ahead of Luke Capozza for the first 11 Elite Class drivers. We then get to our Challenger Class winner in Mark Foster, who took out in P12 on the road ahead of Adrian Gretsch and Matt Bakir, who ended up on the Challenger Class podium. Greg Heaney in P15 on the road overall ahead of Patrick Reardon, Trent Naylor, Ruth Koistra, Kurt Chapman and John Akers for the top 20 cars. Matt Webber, Ronald Long ahead of Braden O'Loughlin, James Mason, Glenn Jones for the top 25, Jesse McMenamin, Chris Ruddle, Stefan Melly and Dale Atkins ahead of Brant Tucker, PJ Whiteman, Ed Adcock and Martin Hallinan at the back of the field here this evening. First up, we've got our P3 finisher here tonight of One Performance Racing. It is John Trott.
Hi.
And John, you have been, that's my special ability there, cutting people off mid-conversation. Very sorry about that, John. You have been the almost sneaky assassin this season. You've snuck your way up onto podium after podium, snuck yourself up into solid points all throughout the season, and in the wettest of conditions, you've done it once again to take home P3. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm channeling my inner Will Brown. Qualify bad, race good.
Well, I mean, how did you find the conditions tonight? Because obviously it was very tricky early on, then it got to probably incredibly greasy conditions, and then dried out a nice dry line, and then we got into the proper torrential stuff. How was it for you across the 2 hours?
It was pretty good. We sort of had the car set up to be more wet to dry. So coming as it got really wet, I sort of struggled to try and keep pace, but we just lowered the roll bars and it sort of helped a bit. But all up, I was enjoying it. It was good fun driving in the rain. I haven't done it for a long time.
So how have you been finding racing? Well, I did. It was incredibly interesting racing. How have you been finding the BMW this season? Because obviously it's gone through quite a few ups and downs in terms of its balance of performance. Do you feel it's starting to come back into it now towards the end of this season and leading into the start of 2026?
Yeah, it felt. So I did some practice runs in the Mustang at Motegi just to see what roughly the pace was, and I was as quick in the Beamer as I was in the Mustang. So I think it's starting to get to the point where it's actually challenging the Mustangs. But yeah, I'm enjoying the Beamer. I'm glad I picked it.
Well, you've had an incredible run tonight here at Motegi. Fuji next time out in 3 weeks' time. How are you feeling heading into that one?
I've got a pretty good track record of crashing through the twirly bits at the last bit of the track. So I'm not too keen, but I'm going to get a Fuji specialist, Ryan Betters, to give me some lessons and see how we go.
Well, John, it's been an incredible race for yourself tonight here out at Motegi. Let us know anyone you want to give a shout out to, whether it's family or friends maybe watching, or team sponsors as well. For myself, Scotty, Pete, and Dean in the background too. Congratulations on your P3 here out at Mobility Resort Motegi this evening.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank you guys, Pell, Stefan, because he's been my race engineer for this whole season so far, so it's been really good. Also want to thank the team and simbriggs.com, Palmerston Bakery, Distraction Sim Supply, DSM Painting and Decorating, and Ground to Earth. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. John Trott, P3 on the road this evening overall, and in the elite class next as well. Hopefully next time at Fuji, it's another great performance from him. Next up, we have our P2 in the Challenger class here this evening in Adrian Gretsch. Adrian, congratulations. P2 on the road tonight for the Challenger class. Congratulations on that effort, but in the end, a little bit of fuel strategy that went the way of Mark Foster ended up getting him a nice lead over you at the end of that race. How did you find the changeable conditions, and how did you find the traffic management in the wettest of conditions towards the end of that race?
Yeah, towards the end. Cheers, by the way. Thank you. And I didn't run out of fuel, so Mark got the strategy right, and I just kept the fuel in the car. But towards the end there, yeah, it was crazy. You couldn't see a thing in traffic, of course, because most of the race I was pretty happy with just keeping it clean, and I wasn't too much involved in a lot of toing and froing and for position. So visibility, everything was good. But yeah, towards the end there, it was chaotic, and I'm just happy to finish, and to get a spot there was fantastic.
I've heard Mercedes are now offering an optional option on their new AMGs. You can get a Mercedes branded fuel canister that you can go refill if you ever run out of fuel. So that's an option for you in the future, I'm sure. But Fuji next time out, Adrian, how are you feeling going into that one? Are you maybe expecting similar weather conditions when we're in Japan again in 3 weeks' time, or do you think we could be in for some dry running?
Yeah, well, I've never been to Japan, so I don't know if their weather's a bit like Melbourne and 4 seasons in 1 day and unpredictable. But hopefully it'll be a dry track and we all finish on a fast race and a challenging race. That'd be fantastic. So we'll see what happens.
Well, they're in winter at the moment, and they get some of the coldest winters in the Northern Hemisphere. So it very well may be wet again. But you had a great run tonight, Adrian. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you as well. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Obviously, thanks to you guys. Broadcast is always fantastic, and great sitting back and listening or watching the replay. And race control, of course. Admin, PEL, great league, and just to my teammates. We haven't got any sponsors, but Matt works for Valvoline, hence why the cars are painted. But it'd be nice if they would sponsor us. But yeah, no, thanks guys, and good luck to it, and well done to everyone, all the podiums.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Congratulations on your P2 here tonight in the Challenger class, and best of luck next time out at Fuji.
Cheers. Thank
you so much, Adrian Gretsch, P2 in the Challengers here this evening. Next up, we're going to go to our Challenger class winner before we end out our elite class podium here tonight. It is Mark Foster. Mark, fuel strategy bliss for you. Short stop to the end, got you a great gap over Adrian at the end of the race there, and you've taken yourself home a Challenger class win. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, guys. It was not quite enough, though, because I'm carrying a 10-second penalty from I think a lap 2 incident, which is unfortunate, but I think I still managed to snag second, just.
Well, P1 on the day, it's still got to feel pretty good. It meant that you had the pace to do it, but just unfortunately on the timesheet, it's not going to reflect that. How did you find the race, though? Obviously, changeable conditions. It's been the whole narrative of the evening is these changeable conditions with the really greasy conditions early and then the super wet conditions at the end. How did you find it, and how did the Porsche handle these sorts of conditions of racing here at Motegi?
At the first, say, 10 laps or so, the Porsche felt like it was in a different league. Like, I couldn't believe how much faster I felt than everyone else, and I think that's why I ended up having that little incident, because I was just a bit too overconfident, but it felt fantastic. The middle stint, it was pretty good, actually. When I think I was catching Gretschy quite fast, so I don't know how that happened. Like, I just felt good. The last probably 15 laps were a bit sketchy, and I was just trying to hold on to not get in the way and not have any mistakes, which I was lucky enough to do.
Well, I mean, you did well in the second half of the race, and unfortunate, incident early found you with a penalty, obviously. So P2 in the end, P1 on the road. It's a great achievement. Fuji next time out. If I'm not sure, but Pete may be able to actually confirm this for me. Pete, are we running on realistic weather of what is currently in Japan today, or are we running fixed weather?
I think it's fixed.
Okay, all right. Well, I was going to claim it could be wet again at Fuji if we're running realistic weather because we're in the winters of Japan. But in saying that, I think what you've done tonight is a great effort in these conditions, whether it's dry or wet at Fuji. That's going to be a tough challenge. How are you feeling heading out to Fuji Speedway on December 14th in 3 weeks' time? Plenty of time to prepare for it, more than you had between Atlanta and Motegi.
Yeah.
Is that going to be helpful, having 3 weeks to prepare for the next race?
I'd like to say yes, but I know that I will hardly do any laps just because I'll be so busy. But yeah, like it worked tonight. I think I did 20 laps in total for tonight. So that seemed to work. I've hardly raced Fuji at all. So again, hardly raced Motegi, so it seemed to work for me tonight. So I'll probably just wing it. I'm not in any running for the championship or anything like that. So it'll just be out for having a bit of fun.
Well, we'll see if it can.
Gretschy. Hopefully.
We'll see if it can pay out for you next time we're racing at Fuji. But Mark, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
Just the non-existent teammates that I've got from DMT who never turned up tonight to race, unfortunately. As usual, I'm just carrying the team, and just my sponsors, so Colourful Learning Toy Store and Fred Peanut Kids Boutique.
Might need to find yourself a osteopath sponsorship to help you fix the back from carrying your team.
I know,
so heavy,
it's a bit like that. Especially Jimmy Middleton, he's been unseen all season.
Best of luck at Fuji. Mark, thanks so much for coming and have a chat to us. Mark Foster, the Challenger class winner here this evening. And next up, we have P2 on the road and P2 on the timesheets as well. In his only outing this season of all but Drop Bear Motorsport, it is Tom Wilkinson. Wilco, congratulations. You had a hairy moment out at the last corner at the midpoint of the race. How'd you find these conditions? And I heard for a little bird, apparently you picked the wrong car, but it worked out pretty well for you in the end.
Well, Scott gave me two options, the Lambo or the Vet, and the Vet seems far more interesting than a car I drove for a year. So we picked that option, and it's an interesting car.
Are you maybe hoping this race had taken place a season later, where you would have had better tyres on board the Corvette, possibly?
No, because I think that helped me this time when we were running around on the dry with wet tyres. Not sure the other cars would have managed to not overheat quite as bad.
Well, we saw you get into it tonight, which you had very, very good running, great battles. Obviously, an incident sort of in the early portion of the race that saw you get a 10-second penalty. Aside from the penalty, how did you find the racing out there amongst this PEL field? And how does it feel to, except for Will Buchanan, beat everyone's favourite driver out there in P3 and beyond?
It was fun. The start was interesting. I was very confused by what's going on until I figured out halfway through the lap, they're on dries, so I need to go because I have grip. And then it was just trying to run away.
We tried to run as fast as possible. We've got Fuji coming up in 3 weeks' time, Tom. Are we going to see you out on circuit at Fuji again?
I think so.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can make the Vet do and then decide.
Well, maybe you'll be able to help keep Yeaman happy and maybe prove Scott wrong and get a race win for yourself in the Corvette?
Maybe. I wouldn't hold out many hopes.
Well, Tom, it's been a pleasure to chat to you once again. We really appreciate you coming over to chat. Let us know anyone you want to give a shout out to, whether it be friends or family who may be watching, or the sponsors of Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport as well. But for myself, Dean in the background, Pete and Scott in the booth, congratulations on P2 on the road here tonight out at Motegi.
Thank you very much. Just want to thank all of the boys because they give me lap times to chase and tell me if my attempted setups are terrible or not. Thanks to iLiveries for making such a cool paint. We may have forgotten him the other day. Revolution Race Gear and Cozy Hybrid Racing Simulations. They're the main ones to thank. Well, and thank you, Scott, for blagging me into this.
Yes, blame Rankin. Well, I mean, he got P2 though. He got P2 though, Scotty. So I think that's pretty good on your behalf then to get him in here.
Well, no. One final question for you, Tom. Mate, when are you going to stop sitting in everyone's ear and complaining and take up driving more commonly? Because, hang on. No, get that off the screen. That never happened. Tom, I shouldn't have opened my mouth. I just got absolutely ragged on drive-bys by the commentary box here, mate. So I'm getting in trouble for suggesting that you should have come and run tonight.
That's right. There's more drive-bys in Drop Bear's Discord for you as well.
Well, we can consider Yeaman mildly surprised that you got P2, Tom. So you've done that. Hopefully we'll be able to see more running from you though. Not only in PL next year, but maybe in other car types too.
And maybe.
Well, thank you so much, Tom Wilkinson. P2 on the road tonight for Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport in the elite class. Best of luck next time out at Fuji.
Oh, hang on. Before he leaves the commentary box, I'd just like to remind him that apparently he's actually missed some of the Orbit Drop Bear sponsors, and his other teammate that wants him to know that, by the way. Dan says hi, Tom.
Well, that's why Dan's normally here thanking the sponsors.
No, we can leave that one off the broadcast, please, as often as possible. Thank you very
I've got
much.
it as my phone wallpaper.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. Best of luck out at Fuji. Tom Wilkinson, our elite class P2 finisher here this evening. Next up, we have got our race winner of AITT Revolution E-Racing. They are on absolute fire at the moment. It's another race win for this team this season. Will Buchanan. Will, congratulations. Race win here at Motegi in the wettest and worst of conditions. How did you find it all? It was greasy early, dried out a little bit, then the water just came piling down like a toddler knocking over a water bucket. I mean, it just drenched the circuit immensely quickly. How'd you find it all, though?
Yeah, hey boys. Yeah, it was very sketchy out there. You probably caught my little spin I had halfway through that race. But yeah, we thought we stuffed up at the start of the race, started on dries, and we were just getting swamped by the pack and ended up turning all right. And then the rain came down and just hold on to the car as best as you can.
You look completely switched on tonight. This BMW looked to be on absolute rails at times. How have you found the BMWs come together? Because we've got no Mustangs on the podium, I think, for the first time, possibly this season. How did you find the Beamer? And have you found, similarly to John, that this car is starting to come back into relevancy again in the GT class?
Yeah, I think so. I've been loving the feel of the Beamer lately. Like, everyone complains about it has a bad rear end, but it does. But I've managed to deal with it pretty well. It feels very fast. It takes the curves well. So it's just gelling at the moment. It's been annoying since the update because there's no setups really for it. But so we've just been running the iRacing setups. But it's all clicking pretty well.
And then how do you think it's going to suit Fuji in 3 weeks' time? Because obviously a little bit more of a high-speed circuit, but the majority of the circuit is quite flowing, a couple of hard braking zones. Do you think this car's going to suit it maybe as well as it did at Motegi this evening, or do you think you might struggle there out on December 14th?
I'm going to assume we're going to struggle a little bit. The slower corners, it does seem to struggle a fair bit. And with Fuji, all those slow corners turning back on each other, I reckon it'll struggle. But tonight it felt pretty good. Like this track still had some slow corners, but I could definitely tell I was struggling a bit to compare to the other guys.
Well, you drove a pretty much flawless race tonight, Will. So you're taking home an incredible race win for yourself and one that'll bag you some really solid points leading into the final round in 3 weeks' time. Let us know who helps get you out on track. Any friends or family may be watching, or any of your team sponsors over at ARTT Revolution E-Racing. For myself, Scott, Pete and Dean in the background, congratulations on your race win here at Mobility Resort Motegi.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Just a big shout out to all the RER boys. They always get me motivated to get out on track. They're a great bunch of blokes, and just obviously to the sponsors, AITT, Sudspeed, Kibby, IR Sidekick, Bunny's Bills, and Sure X4. I can't appreciate all the work they do for us behind the scenes.
Well, thanks so much for coming over chat to us, Will. Congratulations on the race win. Best of luck at Fuji in a few weeks' time, and we look forward to seeing if you can put the BMW on the top step once again.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Will Buchanan, our race winner here this evening out at Mobility Resort Motegi. And Scott, I think the best way we can describe tonight, there's only one word for it: wet.
I thought it was a car race. Did I miss something?
Okay, so all right, we extend that to 3 words: wet car race. There we go. That sorted that one. But what a race it was, and what a race to the end for those class winners. We completely forgot that Mark Foster had a penalty next to his name, so it was Adrian Gretsch who took home the race win in the end on correct standings. Yeah, boo! Should have been Mark Foster. Yeah, should have been Fozzie. But 3 weeks' time, we're back again for Fuji in the limited series. But the next 2 weeks, you've got GT3 Open Series to come your way. Next time out, they're back once again at Mobility Resort Motegi for the 5th round of the Open Series. The week after, they're at Fuji to end out that championship. And then we return to the booth, Scotty, December 14th for the final round of this championship as well for the Premier Endurance League. It's been an incredible season thus far, and there's only one round to go to determine it all, to determine the titles of the Challenger and Elite Class 2. So you guys don't want to miss any of the action from Premier Endurance League. So be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, the bell icon too, so you're notified whenever we go racing right here on the Premier Endurance League channel once again. A big shout out to all the series sponsors, including the title sponsors, Dash Off-Road, 4x4 Parts and Accessories Store, to the safety car sponsor, Sudspeed Gloves as well as Kibby Graphics and Sim Racing and Focus Podcast. We appreciate their support for the series and appreciate everybody watching out there as well. So if you're joining us for the first time or you've been here for a little while and you haven't done so yet, hit the like button and subscribe and the bell icon too, so you're notified whenever we go racing on the channel. But until next time, I've been Hamish Runner with Scott Rank alongside and Pete Baxter working the pit lane for us, and Dean Biggles in the booth as well, producing all this great action for you. It's massive appreciation to you joining us once again. But until next time, stay safe, drive hard, and as always,